And we're live from Hollywood. It's Free Hollywood Live. Wednesday, April 15th, 2020. The live show where Libertarian comrades discuss pop culture, top news, disruptive technologies, and shoot the shit with you, the commenters, in the chat. And for those of you listening to the replay as well, welcome. I am your heavenly host, Anarcho-Jesus. Double fisting the Tecates tonight for tonight's Never Let a Crisis Go to Waste live stream. Today is not tax day after all. Postponed to July 15th, thanks to the Tecate Task Force and your President Donald Trump. Will 2020 be more like 1984? With a contact tracing surveillance state. Yes, that's right, folks. We're trying to get the English out tonight. Are the people of Michigan going to rise up? His is the voice of calm and reason, albeit from the dark side. It's the professor of alchemy with a doctorate in many abilities some consider to be unnatural. Darth Yoda, welcome.
What's going on, Jesus?
Man, that seems like a lot's going on. For me personally, I've been driving my ass off, it seems. A lot of hungry people out there ordering from DoorDash and from Postmates.
But wait a minute. I think we are missing somebody. Where is Justice tonight? Did he run into a drone or a checkpoint or what?
He might be detained right now trying to get back. Last I heard from Justice said he might, quote, might make a run for drinks. And that was like 45 minutes, an hour ago.
Yeah. Apparently the run, we're going to be making a bail run for Justice shortly.
Well, it is nice that I have kept a little dry powder on the side. How are you tonight, my friend? You've been doing anything since we last talked? Anything of note?
Doing good. Cracked open not a Tecate, but cracked open something called This One Sparks Joy. It's a New England double IPA from Foundation Brewing in Portland, Maine.
Man, that sounds great. That sounds really good.
So that's what's competing with the Tecate tonight.
Well, that's way too hipster for me. I am drinking Tecate straight from the estrogen aluminum can, or as my friends in the UK would say, aluminium. But that's the way we do it, recession style. Yeah. So what do you want to dive into first, man? There's so much going on in the world right now.
Well, Jeffrey, son of Liberty, says, "What up?"
Oh, right on.
Perhaps he has detained Justice.
Yeah, maybe he cracked open some Jack Daniels on the way back home, and he just never made it. You know what? How about this? Did you hear about Ezra Miller choking a fan out? A little pop culture news. We get started with some pop culture. By the way, hit the thumbs up.
We haven't done a big pop culture dive in a while. This will be good. Let's start with that, and then we can get into surveillance and everything,
and then all the other stuff. And thanks for stopping by and having a few laughs with us here tonight. Give a thumbs up just to let us know that you can hear us out there. Ezra Miller, do you know who Ezra Miller is?
I don't think so. Where would I know Ezra Miller from?
Oh, Ezra Miller is the Flash. Here, let me share my screen.
Okay.
He's the Flash. Now, not the Flash from the television show. That's this guy. I can't recall the actor's name, but from the television show here in the more plain Jane costume. The Ezra Miller Flash is the one that looks like a transformer.
Okay.
Right there. And of course, we know saw him in the Justice League. But there was news from just a couple of weeks ago that Ezra Miller choked a fan out, and I have the footage here. I thought maybe we could react to it.
Okay.
Let's see, now this footage was hard to come by. They say,
so that's where Justice is. He's out there trying to find this hard to come by footage.
Well, it disappeared from the internet for a while, but now it has reemerged. That's why I was able to grab this. Let me see if I can. I'm going to try to share the video directly if I can. Let's see. Okay, you can see that?
Yeah.
Now, I'm wondering if you can hear this too. Now, we're still kind of new to live streaming, so we're testing features as we go. I'm going to press play on this. Let me know if you can hear anything. Do you hear anything?
I don't hear anything.
Okay. I think I need to be using the Chrome browser in order to have that feature to work, which is a real bummer because it would sound much better. But here's what I'm going to do is unplug my headphones and move the mic down. But you can see it okay, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Here we go.
Learn it? Did you want to fight? Is that the deal? Whoa, bro. Want to fight? Want to learn it? Did you want to fight? Is that the deal?
Whoa.
Whoa, bro.
Holy crap, dude.
Whoa. So that's for real?
Okay, so yeah, this is for real. Oh, look, we can go frame by frame. Okay, so this is a fan of his that's coming up here, and he's apparently on something. I don't know. He's out in the snow in his sandals, his flip-flops, and she comes up. She's like doing dance moves or something. And from what I heard, he was basically talking about his fighting skills or something. And this fan that was just off to the side started kind of like shadow boxing and dancing and saying, "Oh, I could beat you up." And what we're doing is catching the tail end of that, where she's just coming into frame and we're seeing her with her dance moves, shadow boxing. And then he says, what does he say? He says, "You want to fight?"
Whoa, bro. Want to fight?
So he like grabs her by the turtleneck.
Yeah.
Well, I guess the actual neck too. And pushes her back into this, looks like some sort of popcorn stand or cart of some sort. And then like starts to like slam her down, but then he kind of, I think, let her down more gracefully. Wasn't a full body slam. I don't know. She was smiling the entire time. Do you think she thought he was joking?
She must have thought he was joking at first.
Here we go. So, thing with Ezra Miller is he's a non-binary.
Okay.
So this isn't technically a dude beating up a girl here. Because he has identified as a female. She's still smiling. So at this moment, I think Ezra is identifying as a female, and this is more of a cat fight than an actual. I'm going to check the back, see if Justice has found his way. No, he has not. Oh, man. Okay, so...
so I don't know. So is that thought to be like legit? Like this isn't...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this has been out for a couple of weeks now.
Or anything.
Yeah, nothing's come out in the last couple of weeks since this footage first surged, suggesting that it was fake. Fake, like just putting them on.
Yeah.
But apparently nothing's going to happen to Ezra Miller. Let me see if I can find some images of Ezra Miller, the non-binary. He was on the red carpet recently. I'll share out my screen so you can see it.
Right.
Okay, here we go. So he went to the red carpet as a Dalek a couple of years ago.
Oh, is that what he's supposed to be there, Dalek?
No, that's just what he looks like. This is the non-binary Miller.
Okay. So he's transitioned into being a Dalek.
Pretty much, like he's transitioned beyond gender.
Okay.
Beyond those
so there we
sort
are,
of
back to Dalek.
Yeah.
Yeah,
those
there's
kind
several of the Dalek pictures here. Here, I don't know what.
I haven't seen that one either, but yeah, I like the Dalek. Weird, his face looks a little like Elon Musk in that picture. Well, Elon is kind of transcendent, but he's never identified as non-binary. Yeah.
But anyway, so I guess he just like snapped with this fan, basically. Though, yeah, it looks like the fan has kind of this smile on her face at first, like, oh, haha, this is a joke, haha, I'm a big fan, haha.
Yeah, you just you can't tell what's going through her mind because she's smiling the whole time. Did she just freeze with a smile on her face, going like, "Holy crap, what's going on?" Or was she like, "Hey, I'm kind of into this"?
Yeah.
I mean, you never know with the kids these days; they're into the choking. Are they not? You're a little younger than me. I mean, I'm 2,000 years old.
Well, in my original incarnation, I was what? About 1,000 years old.
True.
And as Baby Yoda, I'm 50 now.
Just you're wet behind the ears.
Yeah.
You're green. You're green, son.
Yeah, so 50, I don't know when my species reaches full maturity. So at 50, I'm still a cute little baby.
Yeah. And
but at 900 or so, like I clearly was pretty old in that incarnation.
Right. And just 50 years earlier, you were still pretty old, but you could still bust a move.
Yeah.
Like you were an older code, but you still checked out.
I could still take out Palpatine and, stand toe to toe with him when I needed to.
That's right. And you were still pretty old at that point.
Yeah.
But you weren't moving like that 50 years later.
No. It's that humidity. It was that Dagobah humidity did me in. Man, you can't move in that crap. That swamp air, that just, all you want to do is just sit and sit and sit.
That makes sense, but I have another theory. I think your species, we don't know a lot about your species when it comes to Star Wars mythos, but maybe your species is more like an Asian woman, like holds up really well.
And then one
for
day,
like a really long time.
One day, basically overnight. Yeah.
I don't want to say anymore. I have ears in the background here in the People's Republic of Beijing. Well, anyway, speaking of the People's Republic of Beijing, I was thinking that there's going to be this gigantic new baby boom of 2020 because of people being locked up together for months at a time.
But apparently it's the opposite in China.
That's you're reading
by this headline.
Yes, indeed. I had suggested the baby boom idea to my Beijing wife, and she says, actually, in China, it's the opposite. It's a giant divorce boom, and so there you have it. This is Bloomberg reporting as the coronavirus raged through China. Miss Wu, a housewife in her 30s in southern Guangdong province, spent almost 2 months in isolation with her out-of-work spouse. They fought constantly. Wu, who declined to give her full name because she wants to protect her privacy, ticked off a familiar list of marital irritants, including money, too little, screen time, too much, and housework and childcare, not evenly split. One particular annoyance was her husband's habit of engaging their 2 children in play, even in the evening when their spouse was supposed to be going to bed. He's the troublemaker in the house, she says. I don't want to endure anymore. We've agreed to get a divorce, and the next thing is to find lawyers. Holy crap, man. This is like, I don't know if this is a cultural thing or what, but this is like, I've got a headache. Oh, geez, I must have brain cancer. Let's have surgery. Like, it seems like a little reaction, like over the top reactionary.
Yeah, he's a troublemaker who's playing with the children when he shouldn't be.
That asshole's playing with the kids when I don't like it. When he should be going to bed because he should mind me. I have set his bedtime and theirs. Wow. Anyway, take it from me. Don't believe all that nonsense about the submissive Asian housewife.
Yeah, clearly Mrs. Wu here does not fit that stereotype.
Not at all. And
but is Mr. Wu a beta for not telling her, like, hey, I'm going to play with the kids. The kids want to play. We're going to play right now. Like, none of us have anywhere to be. We are going to play.
Continue.
Oh,
let's follow that.
That was basically my thought. That's good. That's good. I mean, shouldn't have missed. Like, think about this rationally. They're in lockdown. They don't have anywhere to be. Like, does it matter how late the kids stay up? And if Mr. Wu wants to play with the kids till way past their bedtime?
Well, a lot of child's bedtimes and things are based around school schedules. And since there's no schooling going on during the lockdown, you would think there would be a little bit of understanding about that. And if not, there's definitely a case to be made and an argument to be had. I mean, I certainly would make the case and have that argument.
Yeah, but did Mr. Wu make that argument?
Apparently not.
What I'm wondering.
Apparently not. And then it makes you wonder, like, is this just the tiny prick that popped the bubble of their marriage, just like this virus has been the pinprick that popped the bubble of the economy that was just waiting to fall back into recession once again? Like, maybe there were deeper underlying issues here that because this just seems way over the top. Here, let me see that again. Yeah. That's next. Here it is. He's the troublemaker in the house.
He's the troublemaker. One particular annoyance was her husband's habit of engaging their 2 children in play in the evening when they were supposed to be going to bed.
I can't stand it anymore!
Because they had so many important places to be bright and early the next day.
Dad was staying up watching Phineas and Ferb a little bit late on Netflix with the kids, and Mom's all, I want a divorce!
I don't know. Do they have Netflix in China, or is that not allowed past the Great Firewall?
I don't think that one's made it.
Heavily censored version or something.
I don't think it's made it past the Great Firewall, as a matter of fact. Yeah, I would be surprised if it had. Bad example. I'm not sure what streams in China, in fact, as far as ultimate streaming. They have WeChat as kind of their default social media platform.
Yeah.
And so it's like their Instagram and their Facebook kind of all wrapped up, and their Apple Pay. And a lot of things, actually. WeChat is is a very powerful app in China, and but I don't know about their other social medias. They do have a type of YouTube. It's called Youku.
Okay.
And I was thinking maybe to launch a channel on Youku. 50-year-old. I was going to be like the anointed breakdancer. And because I just thought maybe it'd be cool. People in China enjoy watching a Messiah bust a move, do a windmill. Maybe not. I'm still looking for justice. I keep going to the backstage thinking that he would jump in on that beta conversation. But
he could be out breakdancing somewhere and having it streamed over to China.
Yeah. No. I'm just imagining Justice like doing a 1990 and the Worm. No. My God. Oh, hey man, we got our Trump stimulus check.
Oh, you did?
Well, it didn't come in the form of a check. It came in the form of a direct deposit. Yeah, and for some reason, directly to my wife's bank account. So I told her to just go on ahead and keep that because I love her and she's beautiful and I owe her money and we'll just deduct this from that running balance that I'm trying to whittle down at during this crisis.
So it's not all going to Tesla stock.
Anarcho-Jesus has had to step up to be the man in the house and is paying all the bills during this.
So it's not all going to Tesla stock and Ethereum.
Unfortunately, no. I would love to accumulate more into my Ethereum bag if I could.
My God, if you put that all into Wen token, I mean, you would be a Wen token whale right now.
I'm sure I would. I'm probably the last one holding as it is.
Even Scott Adams himself bailed out.
Yeah, that's true, man. Scott Adams blocks me from his stream after I bailed out his company by buying his Wen token. Anyway, we don't block our commenters and listeners. So give us a big what's up in the chat. And thanks, Jeffrey, Son of Liberty, for stopping by and saying what's up. Check out his channel on YouTube, Jeffrey, Son of Liberty. I believe he's been producing content, so you'll want to see that.
Yeah, he's been pretty consistent about producing something for years. I don't feel like Jeffrey's ever really let up in terms of his commitment to the things that he believes in and supports.
Right on. Where was he on the flat Earth issue? We never got into it.
Yeah, well, if he's like actually still listening tonight, maybe he can
chime back in.
Yeah.
One. You're back. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, because I don't remember.
Man, did you guys hear that? Well, you, since there's only one of you, Justice, if you're out there, geez, did you hear that AMC is dying? I mean, we've brought it up a few times on the stream.
I did. I guess AMC stock, when you mentioned that this afternoon, I looked and it was like $2.15. It's like, speaking of shit coins, God, it's like some shit coin, that you had at an all-time high of like $40. That's like $2 now. That's basically, AMC's all-time high is like $40 or something.
That's right. Yeah, and it's
no, that
just
video
hovering above $2.
That video you shared,
Midnight's Edge
today, was very interesting. Like, I did not know the connection to the Chinese company, that there's a Chinese company that owns AMC and has for like the last, almost 10 years or something, was it?
Yeah. Maybe even more.
Yeah.
I'm just pulling up this image, trying to fumble. I'm totally fumbling this. Share entire screen. Wow. Okay.
All right. There's the Justice League again. And
I thought I had an image for this. Apparently I don't. Never mind. Yeah. Anyway, AMC, it's Midnight's Edge. I'll put a link to the video in the chat in just a little bit. But they released a video today, and it was astonishing to me as an investor in AMC. It's AMC Entertainment. There's another AMC out there that you can invest in public markets. It's called AMCX, which is the AMC that produced Breaking Bad and the television series Walking Dead and Preacher.
At least originally stood for American Movie Classics.
No, that's actually another company, believe it or not. It's like just
never mind.
Just to make things even more confusing. Yeah.
All right, I'm getting everything mixed up then. Never mind.
You're not the only one. Listen, when I first wanted to invest in this company, it took me a minute.
Because I thought AMC, the channel that gave us Breaking Bad, is AMC because, like, in the 90s or whenever, it was American movie classics, and so that was the cable channel you would go to watch, Gone with the Wind or whatever. But then over time, like, as cable channels kind of drifted away from like their original niche, it just became AMC and started producing their own shows like Breaking Bad and so on. And, we're not really showing like the old Hollywood classics anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Kind of a similar change to, MTV moving from, videos in the 80s and 90s to reality shows in the 21st century.
Let's take a look.
I know I could be completely wrong in this random tangent. But obviously, like, whoever's right here, it's like completely different than AMC, the movie theater chain, which was never connected to the, cable channel.
Let's see. This would be a perfect time for Justice to be here to do some fact checking for us. Yes. But okay, I'm just going to share my screen real quick before I read ahead. We can read it together. You see that? AMC TV channel. AMC is an American-based.
Yeah. Okay, I was right. The channel's name originally stood for American Movie Classics, but since 2002, the full name has been de-emphasized. Yeah.
There we go. Okay.
So that's around the time period where, like, all the cable channels of the 90s, like, are moving away from their niche, and their niche was, showing Gone with the Wind, and, Casablanca and whatever.
And I thought that they could pivot, because they have Breaking Bad, Walking Dead, Preacher, and a few others that are really somewhat popular, at least have their niche audiences. And I thought they could take the content, even though cable television is dying, they could take the IP and pivot to streaming by licensing out across.
Walking Dead was on Netflix. I mean, and Breaking Bad was and may well still be on Netflix. So
Breaking Bad is. Walking Dead is not. I believe with Walking Dead, what you have to do is you have to buy the seasons on Apple Television, which is not cheap. We just did it for season 10. Wait a second. Now, maybe Netflix has everything up to season 10, and then we just bought season 10. That's what it is. Yeah, the latest, greatest, well, people would argue about the greatest part, but the latest you have to buy on Apple TV, which is like $50 for the entire season.
Yeah, I am many seasons behind on Walking Dead. I don't remember where I left off. Like, there was a point where it just, I don't know, it was one of those shows where it just, after a while, it wasn't as interesting, at least to me, anymore.
Was there one particular death in the show or one particular turning point that lost you, or that was the point that you can recall that you kind of fell off?
I think where I left off, the big bad was the guy with the barbed wire baseball bat.
So you're not too far behind. Okay, that's Negan.
Yeah, Negan. So I left off somewhere around there. I mean, we're talking probably 3 seasons ago or something at this point. But
man, I got to tell you, a lot of people said that after Negan, that like they fell off at Negan. Others fell off at the fake death of Glenn the season earlier.
Oh, okay. Well, this is where, I mean, spoilers for whoever, but this is where Glenn really dies.
We'll spoil everything up to Negan, because I think that's where most people kind of fell off that I've talked to. Others fell off at Herschel. Others fell off after the governor.
Yeah, because Negan
I even heard people
to death.
Oh, that's right, man. Yeah. It's like the eye popping out. He's like, and he he even comments on it. Like after taking the barbed wire wrapped bat to Glenn, the first time, his eyeballs just popping out, and Negan's like, "Holy shit, son! Look at that eyeball just popping out!" And everyone's crying, and then he finishes him off, and it was really, really brutal. A lot of people fell off after that moment, but I gotta say, now we're all caught up. I think we're all caught up. We paid for the Apple TV for season 10, which is not finished, and it may be on hiatus as a result of the Tecate flu situation going on, because there's still episodes they owe us. We paid for the whole season. But anyway, we've caught up, and everything we've caught up to, my wife and I, the show. It's actually a really good story they've developed.
Yeah, see, to me, it never was like became a bad show. It was just one of those things where like it was no longer an awesome show. And so I wasn't really making much of an effort with it anymore. And it just over time, like, oh, geez, I actually haven't watched that in like 3 years.
Yeah, I'm not sure that I ever thought the show was like the greatest thing ever, but I appreciated the production value, and there were actors playing characters that really were super believable. Some of the best television going on at the time, even though a lot of people couldn't get into the show for its slow pacing and belabored storylines and so forth. I mean, if you think about it, it is somewhat of a high production value soap opera.
Yeah.
The characters are really important to the story, and so a lot of fans would fall off with the loss of different characters, or if the story went in a direction they didn't
like. People would get invested in their favorite characters, and once those are killed off, that's that. But
for me, go ahead.
That never happened with Game of Thrones. I mean, Game of Thrones is notorious for like never get emotionally invested in these characters.
True, even from episode 1.
But people stuck with Game of Thrones. It was still the biggest show in the world, right up to the finale.
It took a while in Walking Dead before they got to their first major character loss.
Yeah,
I believe it was the end of season 2 when they finally got rid of Shane, or was it season 3?
I don't remember.
I even met people that said that's when they fell off. They're like, dude, I couldn't watch after that, dude, after Shane. But for me, that's not what really got me into the show or keeps me into the show to this day. For me, I had mentioned to you how in 2012 I had a marathon of zombie movies and apocalyptic movies. Here, let me get rid of this real quick. Walking Dead was one of the things I got into at that time, but it was still pretty early on. I believe they were in like season 3 at the time, maybe 2 or 3. And so I watched every zombie movie that was available online streaming, and I think I even got some discs too. I just wanted to see everything, and and after having seen everything that's out there for zombie movies, I came to this conclusion. All the stories are pretty much the same story.
Well, yeah.
It's like initially there's an outbreak, and then there's the confusion, and then there's the panic, and then there's the scrambling and the infection just spreading, and then there's
the toilet paper shortage.
There's the great toilet paper wars of 2020. Man, what a year this has been. But then you have your individual survivors and the storylines of them surviving, and then they come together in a place where they can finally reach some peace and quiet after losing a few people. And in that peace and quiet, they can talk about what's happening and have a little bit of story development, character development, until they're inevitably overrun and forced to move from this place and have to get a plan to go to some other place. And once they get to the other place, that's kind of the end of the movie. Like it always kind of comes to an end at that point.
Yeah.
And so my question was, what would happen if the movie continued? And that's what The Walking Dead is. That answers that question.
Yeah, they go to another place.
And yeah, here you go, black pill time, and then they just go to another place and another place, and yeah, kind of. But there's more to it than that. There's more nuance. There's more subtlety. There was a book that Brad Pitt movie was based on World War Z, and in that book they describe the weaponification. No, that's not the word. Help me out here, Darth Yoda.
Weaponization.
Yeah, they weaponized the zombies in this book, and I've been waiting. And I don't want to spoil anything, guys, but the zombies are weaponized. Okay, if you've dropped off of Walking Dead and it wasn't for reasons of like personal loss, you just can't get over the loss of Herschel still or whatever. I'd encourage you during this quarantine to jump back on and catch up with us because there's actually really good stories, new characters, and so forth, and still things to look forward to actually in the show.
Well, then there was the spin-off, Fear the Walking Dead, that was based in L.A.
Oh yeah, we watched all of season 1 of that.
Yeah, I watched
pretty decent.
Some of that when it came out. Just because I never having been to Atlanta or Georgia, there's not the kind of connection to it. In the same sense of okay, what would LA look like in the zombie apocalypse?
Did you like it?
I did, just for kind of what that first part there of what would LA look like, if the zombies come.
It was great when those people were all held up in a shop in downtown.
Yeah. But then after that, it's not the most amazing show. Kind of once
no.
Yeah. Land of 420 appears in the live comments and wants to know if we have seen the new Out of Shadows documentary.
I will look it up.
So no, I have not. I'm not sure what the Out of Shadows documentary is. Perhaps I should know, but
okay. There's an official YouTube channel. Okay, let me share my screen. Is this what you had in mind? I didn't mean to start it. Let me stop.
Yeah, especially with the FBI warning right up front, like we used to get on Blockbuster videotapes and stuff.
I know, what a world, but it's worse in some ways. I mean, we used to get that warning, but then nothing would ever happen if you did whatever you wanted with it. But now, even on our live streams, we show one tiny clip from The Matrix and we get a copyright strike.
Yeah.
We show one tiny clip from The Network, a movie from the early 70s or something, and we get a copyright strike. So anyway,
so
let me read about this. It says the Out of the Shadows documentary lifts the mask on how the mainstream media and Hollywood manipulate and control the masses by spreading propaganda through their content. Well, I'm gonna have to worry about that for too much longer.
6 million views since it was posted on
Holy,
April 10th. Wow.
Nice.
So this is a big deal, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. Let me make sure to grab this in our watch later.
Yeah, to take a look at this.
Our goal is to wake up the general public by shedding light on how we all have been lied to and brainwashed by a hidden enemy. The Tecate flu. No, with a sinister agenda. Okay, well, this is a hidden enemy that was around from before the Tecate flu and is not going to be around for much longer, apparently, as we were talking about earlier. AMC theaters, they were downgraded last week and basically downgraded to from a neutral rating to a rating of this isn't for their stock, but for the company as a whole. They're going to go bankrupt is what it meant. It's what it meant. And this documentary that Midnight's Edge came out with on AMC, Going Bankrupt, is incredible. It blew my mind. I just thought I was investing in the movie business. Apparently, I was also investing in asshole Chinese businessmen who like to stack cash in apartments to the tune of from the floor to the ceiling in every single room to where you can barely get into the place, and hire hookers to the tune of $1 million a pop because they're like celebrities in giant movies like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. Yeah.
Not to get into too much detail, but I was like, holy crap, I can't believe that I was propping this up. I mean, basically the shareholders get the shaft. We're the ones left holding the bag, and we were just propping up a bunch of assholes in China. Mm-hmm. And I didn't even know about that. Now, my wife, she knew something of a Chinese connection, but we never went into great detail talking about that, and I didn't look into it. So now holding a nice little bag of AMC. But it seems
your
like
hope, I guess, was that maybe Amazon will buy them out, and that's...
Well, one of the streaming services, it makes sense because the assets of AMC theaters, which crisscross the United States, they have over 4,000 screens when a movie hits. Mm-hmm. They have tons of properties, and I just couldn't imagine this going abandoned, and I can't imagine it being repurposed for something other than content distribution, exhibition. So it would kind of make sense that a cash-loaded streaming service might snatch AMC up for pennies on the dollar when it's hugely undervalued at this point. And then for who knows what, maybe they could continue to premiere Hollywood movies. Maybe they'll just premiere streaming content, movies associated with series that you have to buy the streaming service to get the rest of it. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just a new world after all of this is over with, as if it will ever be over with.
Yeah, I can't imagine kind of what theater revenue looks like in the last month. God.
Oh, it's non-existent.
Yeah, it's literally non-existent other than, well, maybe the handful of states that haven't enforced the lockdown or the handful of countries that haven't. So, but outside of South Dakota and Sweden, pretty much nobody's going to the movies, I guess.
So you think maybe in Missouri they're going to protest by going to see movies and things?
Or Michigan, you mean?
Michigan, sorry.
Michigan. Segue.
Yeah, our segue into, but the Land of 420, we're definitely going to check this out. I can't get too deep into it on the live stream since we haven't seen it, before. But
6 million views since it was posted, just 5 days ago. That's a pretty big deal, obviously. So
let's read some comments at least.
We got to check this thing out.
Let's see what people are saying. Here's 12,000 thumbs up on this comment. The mainstream media is absolutely the enemy of the people. Okay.
Yes, it absolutely is. So
it has 313 replies on that one comment. Yoked Up One says yes, along with Hollywood. L. Collins says it's called social media and programming. CIA is the real enemy.
Well, those aren't necessarily two separate things at all times. So.
Wow. Okay. So, yeah, it looks like there can be some good stuff here. All right. Well, what was that? What's going on over there? Where are people going to watch movies now?
Where are people going to watch movies? Oh, well, you were saying that maybe the next big protest in Michigan will be people going to the movies.
Yeah, man. Was there an article on that? I can't.
Let's see. What did we end up deciding? I put a couple of things in the private chat. I put in a Zero Hedge article that'll have that has, just because it has different Twitter video clips in it, but then also the Twitter hashtag for the protests with all the, very mixed and polarized stuff that you'd expect out of that.
I'll see if I can look that up real quick.
Yeah. I mean, I hate to just go to Fox News or something, but we could.
Is this it right here? The massive protest in St. Louis? No. All right. Well, tell us, give us the quick skinny on what's going on over there. I haven't had a chance to really.
So I guess in Lansing, Michigan, which I guess is the state capital of Michigan, there was a big protest today where people drove their cars They did not get out of their cars and violate social distancing out of fear of being arrested, I suppose. But they just kind of drove their cars. They called it Operation Gridlock and jammed the streets around the, state government offices, I guess. The pictures of it, reminded me of like Tea Party type stuff from like 10 years ago in terms of like the kind of vibe and the look of it all. But maybe with more guns.
Ooh, is this it?
These dudes, are sporting some stuff there. So Heil Whitmer is the name of the governor there. So,
oh no, they're Heil Whitmer.
Yeah.
In the background there with the swastika.
Yeah. So that's the governor's name.
Oh man, is it really going to be like that?
Yeah, reducto ad Hitlerum. I don't know. I usually find pretty cringeworthy, but
right.
Whatever. Like I said, it's kind of like the Tea Party with like all the good in that and all the cringe in that. So you can see the "Don't Tread on Me" flags in the background there too, which are good. Yeah. So I think it was organized by some kind of conservative activist group in Michigan. They had like thousands of people came out. I guess some people got out of their cars. These people clearly did not remain in their cars, but most people stayed in their cars and just jammed up the streets around the state government offices there. And it looked like I saw some pictures of looked like the freeways were even jammed trying to get into the state capitol. So, so I guess this was a pretty big deal there. Kind of the first big, really huge national news level protest of this whole situation.
Damn, man, I've had a better safe than sorry attitude the entire time from even before mainstream media was talking about it. Well, at the time, mainstream media was still denying it pretty much. Trump was downplaying it, but still cutting off travel and borders in the background. And I started saying it's time to prepare. Panic is coming, people. Go back through our live streams, you'll see. And but when I started hearing the contrarian information coming out about things, I first thought, wow, these are just people that are upset that they didn't prepare in time, and now they're really, upset about it. But lately, it seems like there's been a lot more people sharing things. I've had more time to look at Facebook lately. It seems like a lot more things are being shared about this sort of thing, like this sort of sentiment. Mm-hmm. Have you what are you hearing out there among people that you follow and associate with online? Is this sentiment becoming common? Is this going to?
Growing. I mean, I think the initial panic has worn off, at least among more liberty-minded, or I guess in this case liberty-minded and right-wing minded people. That initial panic has worn off, and now people are looking around being like, wait a minute, what the hell's going on? With talk about keeping the lockdowns in place for a much longer period of time. Once, if we talk about California, there was that 6 points released out of the governor's office today about what's it going to take to get California back up and running. And you have things in there that are pretty explicit about mass surveillance. The California governor's plan includes an item in there about there needs to be contact tracing. We need to have contact tracing up and running in order to really reopen the state. So people are starting to kind of look around and be like, hey, wait a minute. Something's not right. Never let a crisis go to waste, as the old saying goes, seems like it's being enacted here. And so people might be starting to push back on that a bit.
Well, you were quoting something there when we lost you because of the network congestion. It seems like everyone one is home streaming Netflix right now or streaming on YouTube. It's tough to get a full thought out sometimes. But what were you saying? It was something about a crisis.
Did my rant there break up with bad internets?
It did. Okay. Just at the climax of the point you were making.
So the quote I was alluding to there was the old "never let a crisis go to waste" quote. That's it's been attributed to different people over the years. Kind of the most recently, you usually see Rahm Emanuel, Obama's buddy, who was the mayor of Chicago, having the quote attributed to him. But the basic idea is take advantage of the crisis and push through your policy agenda when you can, because in a non-crisis situation, you won't be able to get away with it. And so, never let a crisis go to waste. So, where'd the governor's plan there go? Because
I'll bring it back up, but I just wanted to see. Saul Alinsky, I had attributed it to when I was looking at this quote, just trying to find it online. I saw Obama's buddy, and then I saw Winston Churchill, and then I saw Saul Alinsky, and I just assumed Alinsky was the oldest one. I was like, well, that's probably the right one. I just used that, but apparently he's not the oldest. It'd be Winston Churchill. But do people just attribute everything to Winston Churchill that they don't know who it is?
I think Churchill is one of those guys that probably gets everything attributed to him.
Him and Einstein.
That might be a Churchill quote. I don't know.
Yeah. So I probably got that part wrong in my thumbnail back there, but no big deal. Let's go back to the California roadmap. Efforts to flatten the curve. Well, I haven't seen this yet. Is there any particular thing you want to focus in on?
Yeah, scroll down to what's basically like the governor's office 6-point plan.
Okay,
keep going.
We're scrolling through, and I'm just kind of pausing through. If you guys want to read it, you can. California 6.
So the 6 indicators for
here we go. Number 1,
the state, and this is like the big one: the ability to monitor and protect our communities through testing, contact tracing, isolating, and supporting those who are positive or exposed. All right, so. How prepared is our state to test everyone who is symptomatic? Do we have the ability to identify contacts of those who are positive to reduce further transmission? So here's where the mass surveillance part may come into play. So the ability to monitor our communities. So, we've talked about this on previous streams. I wish Justice was on here too. But the technology out there to use, surveillance of your phone to figure out, who you're interacting with. This is one of those things where, just like the Patriot Act in 2001, where it's like, well, yes, we absolutely need to be watching the terrorists. Do you want another 9/11, guys? But it was obviously used for a lot more than that, as we found out with the NSA basically surveilling every single American. Okay, so here the argument might be, well, of course you want to know if somebody has, COVID-19, you want to know who they've been in contact with so we can warn those people for their safety. But do you think it stops there? Just like the Patriot Act didn't stop with Al-Qaeda, it extended to every single American. I can't imagine this stopping with people infected with the coronavirus.
It gives one pause for sure.
Yeah, because the technology you can use to track people in this instance can be used to track them in any kind of scenario you can think of. And I wouldn't be so naive as to suggest that, every government official has your best interest in mind and does not want to know what you're up to.
Well, geez, we're just on number 1, and you're already reading between the lines to the point that should we continue to number 2?
I don't know. Am I overly worried here? Am I being a paranoid conspiracy theorist? Because I do try to avoid doing that. You know that I have never been a hardcore conspiracy theorist. I'm not a 9/11 truther. I've always rejected a lot of the big conspiracy things.
Yeah, that's true.
Am I being too worried here?
I don't know. It's worrying me that you're going this direction because of your past history with issues such as 9/11 truth, moon truth. I mean, you slip down into the ultimate moon truth where you're like, there is no moon. But other than that, like, I don't think you weren't down with the standard alternative moon theories and things. And so we've had good conversations over the years about a lot of things. I know that yours is a voice that if you're raising alarms, I should trust. I think with Justice, I trust that he does his homework. I trust that the information that he's looking at is coming from sincere people that mean well and so forth. But I'm not always going to be so quick to just, believe, every single thing that I'm hearing coming from Justice on these issues. But when Darth Yoda starts saying, hey, I think they're sending the drones soon in America, I start paying attention a lot more, because here's a guy who says, look, it wasn't a missile that hit the Pentagon. I had friends that saw the planes. Am I wrong about that?
Yeah, correct. I mean, there was a low-flying plane, that people in D.C. saw that day, and the forensic evidence tends to, play that out. I know that's kind of controversial thing to say in certain circles, but I think 9/11 was roughly, the mainstream story. So, and if that triggers anybody, I apologize, but it was blowback, just like Ron Paul says it was. But that doesn't mean that after 9/11 that the state didn't turn around and decide that it was going to take advantage of the situation and put into place mass surveillance measures that they had wanted to do for many, many years. So once again, never let a crisis go to waste. So just like I don't think that, I think it's unlikely that Bill Gates created the coronavirus in his mad scientist lab in, wherever, or that it's like the 5G or this or that. Doesn't mean that I don't see this as a never let a crisis go to waste situation, where probably mass surveillance measures that have long been hoped for and prepared are potentially going to be implemented here.
Does Trump not see that? These are his enemies that want these measures put in place. This is the deep state. Yes?
Yeah, it just depends on how much you think that Trump is really an enemy of the deep state. To what degree, Trump is fully like, the good guy here or something. And I think that's a reasonable debate that can be had. So I think Trump is easily swayed. And if some neocon had his ear rather than liberty people and was like, no, we really need this. We really need this. Like, he probably could be talked into it, unfortunately.
I'm going to need a drink. Fuck me. He's supposed to be the populist president, the president of the people. And I believe for the most part, he's proven that he is. But this does give one pause. Look, I'm not about to run out in the street and start protesting. I don't want to catch the virus. I don't care what anyone believes. I'm better safe than sorry still. And I don't care if they lift this quarantine and everyone decides to go back to work the next day or on May 1st. My family and I are going to have another 2 weeks of continued quarantine to just kind of wait and see what happens out there once that begins to occur. And look, that maybe we're the ones overdoing it this time. But it's issues of life and death. Don't really get a second chance on those things sometimes. So my wife walks by, says, it's not over yet. These things are still necessary. So, but man, yeah, it does give one pause. Let's see what number 2 says. Just because I haven't seen it yet, and I just am curious here. The ability to prevent infection. This is number 2 of the governor's plan to reopen. Yes.
Yes.
These would be measures and things needing to be put in order for us to reopen the California economy. Number 2, the ability to prevent infection in people who are at risk for more severe COVID-19. The ability to prevent infection in people who are at risk for more severe COVID-19. The ability to prevent infection in people who are at risk for more severe. This is like that improv thing you do, where you just keep reading it in all the different ways that you can think of.
Emphasize all the different words you can.
Key questions. Are older Californians and the medically vulnerable living in their own homes supported so they can continue appropriate physical distancing? Yeah, in other words, do they have a sitter or not? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, supported can mean a lot of things, I guess. Yeah.
Right. So in other words, can you get along by yourself?
Yeah.
But here's the thing: when you're
and what if the state, and then what if the state decides you can't get along? I mean, who decides whether you are okay to live by yourself or not?
Well, that's always the question, isn't it? Who decides? And these deciders, who are they? Ultimate deciders, or are there people that decide for the deciders? I mean, who watches the watchmen?
The age-old question.
Indeed. Here it goes on. Have we developed a plan to quickly identify and contain outbreaks in facilities housing older Californians, those living with disabilities, those currently incarcerated, and those with comorbidities? What's a comorbidity?
That's, you have some other illness.
Okay, like something
so like
that
somebody could have
could be exacerbated.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, like diabetes patients. Or,
yeah. So this person has COVID-19 and comorbid diabetes. Right.
This person has COVID-19 and brain cancer. Yeah. Definitely died of COVID-19. Justice would have appreciated that.
Justice would appreciate that if he had not been captured by the quarantine drone.
Justice has
on
been
his way to the essential liquor store.
This was the one time he was breaking quarantine where they got him and shoved him in a metal box.
Yeah, without a drink.
No drink in hand. No. Oh, man. Anyway, maybe he'll still join us. Number 3, in order to open California back up again, the ability of the hospital and health systems to handle surges. Well, that's fine right now. Now, everything's good. So over the next couple of weeks, I expect to see some kind of surge going on. Otherwise, there's no problem here. Number 3 is kind of a moot point. We have plenty of hospital beds. We have plenty of workers ready to do the job. So,
so
go on ahead. Get infected.
Right now, number 3 is not concerning in the way that number 1 or even number 2 were concerning from a civil liberties standpoint.
Look, after seeing Friday what the information that President Trump had for us at the task force press briefing, I realized a lot of hospital beds are empty, just like Justice said they were, and that the death toll is probably not going to even be the minimum number of 100,000, just like Justice said it wouldn't be. And I had my Neo moment from the Matrix where I'm like, no, it's not true. That's impossible. And Morpheus is like, I didn't say it would be easy. I only said it would be the truth. No, let me out of here. He's going to pop. And I was just like, my God, it's like all this contrarian information that I've been avoiding. It's all true. And number 3, that's a non-issue. Let's see, number 4, the ability to develop therapeutics to meet the demand. Okay.
All right, so here we're, presumably talking about, well, it could be different things. I mean, it could be what's the malaria drug, for all we know?
That's hydroxychloroquine.
So it could be something like that. I mean, this is a rather vague term, or it could be a vaccine. They're being very vague on number 4.
Key questions. Have we built a coalition of private, public, and academic partners to accelerate the development of therapeutics? Are you asking me this question? I mean, that's the wrong guy. You're asking the wrong guy. I mean, ask yourself that question. The other one. Have we identified potential therapeutics that have shown promise? Well, you tell me. I mean, yes. The answer is yes. That hydroxychloroquine, in combination with other therapies, I've heard has been very effective with many people so far. And that's a drug that was approved 60 years ago. So it's available today at a very cheap cost.
So here's, off the top of my head, of course, but problem with this kind of point here, that first item 1 and to some extent item 2, raise serious civil liberties questions. But here we got like kind of almost another issue, which is just the vagueness of this, right?
It's almost like some of it's for us, but some of it's for them. Like these are what goals?
Yeah, because you're already hearing talk about like, oh, there's not going to be a vaccine until next year sometime. And so if that's what they mean by this, it's like, no, you're not going to be opened up for like another year till everybody gets their coronavirus shot.
That means that the police drones are going to be scanning the chip in our right hands or foreheads at least for the next 9 months or so.
Yeah, exactly. This is super vague. It's like bureaucratic gobbledygook. Build a coalition of private, public, and academic partners. It's like, really?
I mean, look, have we built you're not building crap. Like, people are coming together and solving problems with or without you. We don't need you for that.
California state government, Gavin Newsom, you didn't build that.
You did. Cheers, man. I'm raising the Tecate to that one. That was great. Oh man. Yeah, spontaneous order is a real thing, and free markets do tend to everyone's looking out for their own self-interest. And in a free market, businesses are going to protect their goods, their resources, and people tend to even help one another out in that regard. And they don't need any help from government in order to get those things done. That's just a natural thing. Everyone has an accounting of the resources that they are responsible for, and they are going to do their damnedest to protect it and to make sure that it's good and it's going to be surviving through all of this to the other side as best as possible.
Yes.
With or without the aid of government, with or without the money printer going. I wish Justice was here with the memes. There was a good one.
Yeah, we might have to skip meme review tonight.
We might have to. Yeah, that just means we'll have an extra double giant meme review on Sunday night when we come back together again. If Justice is out of the metal box by then.
Yeah.
Number 5. You want to read this one?
The ability for businesses, schools, and childcare facilities to support physical distancing. Again, we have key questions.
Okay, businesses. That would be like your workplaces, schools. Yeah. Of course, that would be your government indoctrination camps for children. Childcare facilities. That would be the places no child ever wants to really go. And what about movie theaters? Is that also businesses? Businesses where you would go?
I guess that's businesses.
We were talking about that the other day. Will it be something like every 6 feet you're going to have chairs roped off in theaters. And when you go online to purchase tickets, they'll just have seats grayed out that are not occupied.
But are like every 6 seats
just
apart
to keep the social. Yeah. Kind of like a checkerboard pattern where they're only able to sell maybe 40% of the seats that they used to sell.
So have we?
Which would still be a pretty good. That'd still be a pretty good night, though. Like movie theaters haven't been doing gangbusters lately, if you haven't noticed. Yeah. I mean, it was like Joker was the biggest movie lately. And by the way, Joker was one of the last movies I ever saw in a theater, and what a movie to go out on. By the way.
Yeah. So I think the last movie I saw in the theater was Rise of Skywalker, or whatever the hell it's called.
Oh, that's right. I did see Rise of Skywalker after, and I wanted to see Joker again, and then we never got around to it. That's unfortunate.
So if that's the final movie we ever see in a theater.
I think it was. Oh, no.
Wow.
Oh, no. I might have to risk death just to go
someday. Like, Grandpa, I've heard about these things called movie theaters. What was the last thing you ever saw in a movie theater? The Rise of Skywalker. Let me tell you something.
Oh, man. That's just not respectable. I think I'm just going to have to tell my grandkids Joker. I'm just going to lie. Sorry. The Lord and Savior usually doesn't lie, but in this case, we'll have to make an exception. That's just not respectable to tell a grandchild that my last movie I ever saw in a theater was the final act of the Disney Star Wars trilogy. Oh, by the way, the Critical Drinker released a video today. You know the Critical Drinker. He does reviews on YouTube in kind of a Irish accent, but he's always drunk.
Okay, that sort of reminds me of Drinking with Bob from the old Ron Paul days.
Oh, God. Wow. That goes way back. Yeah. Drinking with Bob. I'm not even sure if he's still around, but the Critical Drinker is he's kind of the new kid on the block, and he does really great movie reviews. Lately, he started a new series called The Critical Drinker Fixes It, and his first in the series was The Critical Drinker Fixes Fat Thor. And so he does a whole video on that one topic, and it was good. He does a really great job with that. I mean, I didn't have as big of a problem with Fat Thor as some people did because they played it straight. That was the main reason why I didn't have a big problem with it. They did try to play it straight, like when he went into battle as Fat Thor. Like he didn't like just lift his hammer and lightning strikes and suddenly he has abs again, which would have been cheesy. So I thought maybe that was kind of cool that they just played it straight, but others disagreed, and I think I can see where they're coming from, especially with Critical Drinkers, but that's not the point. Today he released a video called Critical Drinker Fixes Luke Skywalker from The Last Jedi, Luke Skywalker. And I watched the video, and he does it. He did it, man.
So he fixed it.
He did it. I had tears in my eyes. Tears in my eyes. I heard his version of The Last Jedi and the way it unfolds. And he did that shit off the top of his head.
Oh, wow. Impressive.
Rian Johnson had all the time in the world, all the greatest talent. Anyway, I'm not going to get into it. Number 6. Let's try to get through this. Number 6 is the last one. 6, the ability to determine when to reinstitute certain measures such as...
Not if, when.
Oh, good point. Such as the stay-at-home orders, if necessary.
Never mind. There's the F at the end there.
Well, okay, let me read it again. Okay. The ability to determine when to reinstitute certain measures such as the stay-at-home orders, if necessary.
All right, that's just horrible grammar for one thing. But
how would you have worded this?
I don't know.
The ability to determine if and when to reinstitute certain measures, such as stay at home.
Yeah, that's better.
Hire me. I mean, Well, yeah, I guess you kind of did. They sent us the $1,200 check each for my wife and I. That showed up in our bank account today, hers. And she also applied for unemployment. Mm-hmm. And I told her, look, I just have no incentive whatsoever to do it. If you want to do it for me, I will sign on the dotted line or do whatever small thing I can to help. And she's done it, but I don't know if it'll work. We'll see.
Yeah. Well, it's supposed to be expanded for self-employed people now. So,
right.
That's this mess.
And that's what it is. I think it might work for me this time. I've tried several times in the past, and it was always too much of a hassle, too much work. I'm like, not enough money for the work I'm putting into it. It's like, for $200 a week, no thanks. I'm a libertarian anyway. It's against my values.
Yeah.
So what are the key questions here? Are we tracking the right data to provide us an early warning system? Well, you tell me, are you? Oh, well, this goes back to number one.
Yeah. Again, all right, we've come full circle here into
I see.
surveillance.
They've wrapped this package up nicely with a bow.
Yeah.
And the second key question here is, do we have the ability to quickly communicate the need to reinstate these measures? I mean, it's a great question, but I can't answer it. So, what am I supposed to do about that? Do we have the ability to quickly communicate the need to reinstate these measures?
Look, there's
an internet.
Yeah. Look, split the infinitive.
Gavin Newsom sends me text messages on the regular now. I'm sure you can do that. Yeah, absolutely. Did I miss something? Did I miss anything?
No, these are the 6 points. Things will look different.
Oh, wow. Here we go. Restaurants will likely reopen with fewer tables. You mean we're going to have to physically rip the tables out, or can we just rope them off? Well, anyway, I guess rope them off.
They haven't decided yet. Right now, they're just letting you know that the restaurant will look different.
It will look different. They look different now, that's for sure. As I've been out there driving for Postmates, it's been pretty incredible to see. All the dining rooms are pretty much plasticed over or police taped off. And a lot of, if not just gaffer tape on the floor with, 6 foot kind of separated markings. Some stores have even been able to print up very professionally and commercially tags that say social distancing on them that they're putting on the floor to keep people away from one another. Look, if this virus turns out to be bullshit, I'm going to be pissed off like in a major way, because this is really irreparably damaging culture in a way that it will be something that is virtually unrecognizable to the American public after we come out of this quarantine. Face coverings will likely be common in public. Yeah, and look, I'm not totally against it. I'm kind of welcoming it. I saw this lady today. She had a mask on, but she was like, she had the mask down over her chin and was talking at me. Mm-hmm. And I saw her mouth flapping, and she's like, I'm not even worried about this virus. And I'm like, that mask is not protecting your chin whatsoever, or me. Could you please? Anyway, new opportunities will likely arise to support mitigation. New opportunities will likely arise to support mitigation. New opportunities,
what does that
will likely arise.
That's just
to support.
New
opportunities will likely arise to support mitigation.
It's just more bureaucratic gobbledygook.
What
the hell does that even mean? New opportunities will likely arise to support mitigation.
Did I ever tell you I worked for Disney, the Disney company at one time in merchandising?
I think so. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I used to work at I used to work at the Disney stores in the mall, and then later I transferred to the theme parks. Had to do traditions another time, like 2 or 3 times actually. I've done their traditions, which is their brainwashing training.
Yeah, that's
their
what
training.
This sounds like. It's like HR department garbage that you have to sit through, and you're like, oh God.
Well, one of the things they teach us in traditions is the open-ended question. And this is what I'm seeing here. It's not in the form of a question, but it is very open-ended. And the open-ended question is the art form of using an open-ended question when you're trying to sell merchandise for Disney is when a person comes in and they're browsing merchandise, you don't walk up to them and say, how may I help you? They say, oh, I'm just looking. And then that kind of closes down the interaction. There's nothing more to do there. You want to ask an open-ended question. That would be like, oh, who are you shopping for today? You can't just say, I mean, you can say, I'm just looking, but that would be kind of rude because you're just like dismissing the person's question like they didn't even ask you something. And especially if they came up to you with a sincere look on their face and was like genuinely asking you a question and you're like, look, I'm not answering your question. Get away from me. It's kind of rude, right? So the open-ended question kind of forces the person to interact with you, and even if they don't want to. So, what's another one that they taught us? It'd be like, oh, is there a birthday coming up? You know, something like that. You know, and the person could say, oh, no, it's actually for my niece, you know, just going to go visit, whatever. But it's like, it's hard to just say, you know, I'm just looking.
I'm just looking.
Away from me.
Go away.
And the government's not wanting people to take one look at this and say, you know what, go away. Just looking. No, this is all very open-ended. So it's like,
yes, new opportunities will likely arise.
Hey, I want to know more. Look, I want opportunities. California, your action saves lives. You know, this just gives them enough leeway to be able to do pretty much anything they want in the future is what it sounds like, just at face value. Just I'm glad that it was very brief, you know,
yeah,
few words, some images, you know. This is right on the level of my reading. So there you have it, people. Did you have anything you wanted to follow up with that on that? Any other thoughts?
No, I think we covered it well. I do want to move on to Land of 420's question about our thoughts on John McAfee, because this would be a segue into the glorious state of the Libertarian Party presidential nomination race, which would be an amusing topic, but one like of interest to only a few people.
Geez. See if I can look him up.
Yeah, look him up. Like, I'll be back in 2 minutes. I'm gonna.
Okay.
Yeah.
No problem. Right on. Do 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 do. Just kidding. I'm gonna share out the screen here. This is John McAfee. He is the one and only founder of McAfee Antivirus. More recently known for his work in the cryptocurrency space as a entrepreneur building mining farms and as a celebrity endorser being paid to endorse shitcoins. Oh, that's probably not what Wikipedia says. That was just my own personal thoughts. John David McAfee is a British-American computer programmer and businessman. He founded the software company McAfee Associates in 1987 and ran it until 1994 when he resigned from the company. McAfee Associates achieved early success as the creators of McAfee, the first commercial antivirus software. And the business now produces a range of enterprise security software, but it's no longer his, so that's not really important anymore. I wonder if I drilled down into this Wikipedia article, if it would get into his cryptocurrency. More recent. Here we go. Early life, ventures, political positions. This is kind of getting towards what the Land of 420 was asking about. But he's no longer running for any kind of political office now. But last time in 2016, he ran as a Libertarian Party candidate. Did some pretty interesting political ads, if I recall. Didn't seem like he was very serious about getting elected. Interesting. I don't really see anything about his cryptocurrency ventures. You know, I mean, I like Wikipedia, but I know more about this man than Wikipedia does, it seems. See, personal life. The night after McAfee arrived in the United States after being deported from Guatemala in December 2012, he was solicited by Dyson, then a prostitute at South Beach, Florida, and the two spent the night together. McAfee and Dyson, more than 30 years, McAfee's junior, subsequently began a relationship and married in 2013. Yeah, I mean, look, this stuff isn't really relevant to much, but let's see. Let me go back to the question here just to make sure that I'm. What do I think of him? Okay, what do I think of him? Okay. I think he's a charismatic personality who has been able to put himself in the right place at the right time several times over throughout his lifetime, and surprisingly is still alive. And that's what I think of John McAfee. Did you hear my? We did a little background read through on Wikipedia of John McAfee, and then I just was getting back to the actual original question. What do I think of John McAfee? And my opinion is he's a charismatic personality that's out in the public who has been able to strike lightning in a bottle several times in his lifetime, and surprisingly is still alive somehow.
Yeah. So I guess the latest news with McAfee is, I guess he's Kokesh's running mate now. Like he's forgoing like a campaign for the LP presidential nomination in his own right, and he's attaching himself to Adams' campaign, and he's running to be the LP's vice president.
Holy shit, dude, I can't wait to see the videos.
Yeah.
Oh, I bet I'll be getting a phone call soon from Adam.
Adam's gonna call you up.
Dude, can you produce some videos for me? Man, hey, man, I used to like the montages back on the channel. Can you do that again, but this time with me and McAfee?
And make sure you put an Eye of Horus in behind us.
Yeah, make sure that you have a glowing planet rotating behind us both, because everyone on your channel loves that whenever you have all the Illuminati symbolism going on. What do you think of John McAfee? I mean, I've given my opinion. It's just in short. I could go on, but
I don't know. Interesting guy. I mean, yeah, I don't honestly he's one of those people where I can't really say I have like some really strong opinion. I suppose like I kind of rooted for him for the LP nomination in 2016. Not in like some huge kind of commitment of time and energy sort of way, just kind of from the outskirts. I was sort of rooting for him for the nomination, but obviously Gary Johnson, as we all know, was the nominee. I mean,
that's right.
Sure. Good luck to him. He was showing a lot of really crazy altcoins at one point.
Shit coins, you
I
could just
remember
say
that. Yeah. I don't remember which one specifically he was showing, but I guess they were like more shit coins than anything.
Well, anytime
like he had his like, crypto of the week thing or something where
he would tweet out about a crypto and it would pump for a day or two.
Yeah, and it would just be some shit coin where like the team would pay him basically to promote their
he was pretty out about it too. I think it was something to the tune of like $150,000 or something to shout out a shit coin on Twitter. and it works, I mean, they would accumulate more than 150 grand worth of market cap because of that.
Wow, 2017 was weird.
I know, what a weird time to get started in crypto. And so I followed McAfee mostly in the crypto space from the time of 2017 until now. Before that, it was for the Libertarian Party nomination. I don't know when he made the bet, and I'm not even sure if it's really a bet, but he made the statement that if Bitcoin doesn't reach $1 million by the end of 2021, he'd eat his own dick.
Yeah.
Yeah. You heard that too.
Yeah.
So some people have suggested that maybe he's made this bet before, and there is an issue of his ability to deliver.
Uh-oh. Is he Enrique mode already?
Exactly. So maybe he's not really too worried about if he can win this so-called bet or not, because there's really nothing he can do about that if he's in Enrique mode.
Yeah. Obviously, we all hope that he wins the bet.
Of course we do. Of course. I mean, geez, if he wins the bet, then we all win big time.
Exactly.
Hodl on, my friends. Hallelujah. It's time to continue holding until all-time highs have been surpassed once again. Did you want to take a quick look over at the crypto?
Yeah, we can. Are we done with McAfee and the Libertarian Party in general?
Well, I tell you, I really can't wait to see what happens with a McAfee/Kokesh team up. Like, I'm not taking it seriously, at least this time, for any kind of potential win.
Yeah.
But my God, the attempt might be something really fun to watch, and something that we could bring up again and again on the live stream as we watch this train leave the station. I mean, it feels a little late to be getting started now.
Well,
but
Adam's been running for a while, and
okay.
I think McAfee had kind of been running, at least. I mean, it's not like I wasn't seeing a whole lot of McAfee stuff going around like I was last time when Judd was making videos for him.
Right. Judd made those videos.
Yeah,
those were cool videos.
In 2016.
Yeah, that's right. I recall that now.
I mean, I was definitely like Kokesh definitely still has a strong social media presence, and I see his stuff all the time. Yeah, so this team up might be amusing, but so it's not like neither of them are really getting started late in the game per se. The LP convention is scheduled for Memorial Day weekend, but as of right now, the hotel where it's supposed to be at is shut down. Obviously the city of Austin is shut down. So it's really an unanswered question at this point whether there will actually be a physical in-person Libertarian Party nominating convention this year. So, and it's anyone's guess who the nominee will be at this point. And
maybe they'll take it. I mean, hey, it'd make things a lot more interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, to have Kokesh and McAfee as serious contenders.
That would be funny. I mean, obviously with that, we'd most likely be back down to the standard LP 0.3% of the popular vote. But, I guess it would be entertaining to say that we know like the third place winner, third place finisher for president, even it's a very distant third place.
Hey, man, I'm not going to make any promises or anything, but I might like to make that video after all, come to think about it.
Yeah.
You can do some fun stuff with that. I don't know. A little busy these days. I've been more busy in the quarantine than I was from before the quarantine.
Yeah.
Personally. Yeah. I mean, feeding people is a lot of work. And I found that during this quarantine, I've been making as much money driving for Postmates as I used to make driving people for Uber.
Yeah, people are ordering a lot now, I assume, right?
They are. And here's the thing. My registration expired during this quarantine, and I'm not really legal to drive as far as that goes. But Postmates didn't seem to care.
Yeah.
And neither did...
do board CHP cops care?
Well, I think they do to a certain degree. Like, I've had a couple of them following me for way too long and making me nervous. But I think in the end of the day, when they realize I'm delivering food to people and that this was really, because it's March and it's like they don't know if it's beginning of March, end of March.
Oh, okay.
So I think they've decided to let me go a couple of times, even though I've caught them looking, for sure, and making me nervous, man. I was sweating a little bit, but yeah, so far so good on that. But as far as the money goes, man, it's as good as driving people, and that's saying a lot, because just driving food is way safer than driving people these days, and you can also have a lot more fun just driving food. And products and services. Postmates kind of expanding. I don't know, maybe they've always done this, but for me, it's kind of new. I've been receiving trips to go into stores to pick up product for people.
Oh.
Yeah, I went into Walgreens today, had a list of things to pick up as for a person, and by the sound of the list, they may have COVID-19. They're asking for some Tylenol PM. Or no, Advil liquid gel PMs, which is the last thing I hear you want to be eating or taking if you have COVID-19. But, it's not my place to preach to people or whatever. Well, I guess it is. I am the Lord and Savior of pop culture, but I'm not preaching about those things. I'm only preaching about things like Ezra Miller choking out a fan. It's not good, Ezra. Not good. You don't want to be doing that.
And the Kokesh McAfee campaign.
Indeed. Oh, yeah. So, speaking of divine things, Darth Yoda, I was going to ask you how your Bible study's going.
Oh, yeah. I'm in one of the most, if not the absolute most depressing parts. I'm up to the book of Job at this point. Yeah.
Job, man, I forgot about the book of Job.
So,
man,
Jesus.
When I think about the book of Job, all I can think of are those couple of verses that get quoted all the time on Ancient Aliens by that dude with the crazy hair.
Leviathan and Behemoth.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You know the ones.
Yeah.
Here, I'll share something out while you're talking. But yeah, what are you discovering in Job?
I don't know. Anarcho-Jesus. Like, why is your dad such a dick to Job? I mean, like going out and making bets with Satan. And dude, yeah, tell your dad stop being a dick. I mean, come on.
Yeah, you're right about that. He used to really play games with my brother and me. Like, he would he would send us out to do chores, but he would give the Immaculate Savior all the lighthouse work, and he would make me like mow the yard.
Oh, wow.
With like a push mower. Not the kind with gasoline, mind you. I'm talking the kind
old school.
Yeah.
Like you get out there and you got to get your workout in.
Yeah, totally. While Jesus was just like given the chore of like, could you dust the furniture? Never even had to leave the house. Knew nothing of seasonal allergies. Anyway, we're getting into issues that I only really supposed to get into during my therapy sessions.
Yeah.
So
but I mean, speaking of therapy, I mean, this is like emotionally brutal stuff in the book of Job. I mean, man, I forgot how depressing some of this is. Yeah.
Job.
Yeah, there's Job.
Look, there he is. See,
and
he doesn't look so bad.
And there's his buddies who are going to come up and tell him it's all his fault, and he just needs to repent.
Yes. Yeah. So I'll just throw this up as a little bit of background. Imagery there, but yeah. So
but no, therapy. In all seriousness, you read Job's speeches, and you're like, this is like a really bleak, like depression. Obviously he's lost everything, but I mean, you read that stuff and he's like, I wish I was never born, and obviously he says it in very poetic, language. It's, beautifully written, but
yeah.
Man, is it dark.
Yeah. The book of Job is a black pill for sure. I mean, it's not what you heard of on Ancient Aliens. Like, you need to really read the book if you really want to find out how dark the Old Testament can be.
Yeah.
Not dark in the sense of, absolutely no hope and for no purpose and no reason, but darkness nonetheless. I mean, there's no glossing over what Job went through.
Yeah.
And wow. Yeah, it's been a while since I've taken a look at that, but I should revisit. And are you finished with it yet, or you're just in it now?
Oh no, I'm on like I think I left off on like chapter 10 or something. So yeah, got a ways to go.
So we won't do a deep dive into Job just yet. I want you to finish it before we get back to talking about how you feel about it. But right now, you're pretty much feeling like Dad's an asshole.
Right.
I hear you. I'll let him know what you said.
I'll
let him know what you said.
Anarcho-Jesus. Here's a question for you. Are the Mormons right? Is Satan your other brother?
I'm not going to be so quick to dismiss every aspect of what Joseph Smith added to canon.
Man, if I really never want to get this done in a year, I'll add the Book of Mormon to the reading list.
Yes. And well, if you're going down there, then you've also got to add the letters of Brigham Young. You've got to do that.
Oh, is that official Mormon canon?
Oh yeah.
I didn't know that. I thought it was just the Book of Mormon.
Oh
wow.
All proclamations from modern prophets are also canon.
Oh.
Yes. That's why things get a little bit convoluted from time to time, because they don't always agree. But yeah. Even though they can, I think a more modern prophet can revise and kind of like retcon earlier prophets.
Yeah, isn't that what happened with basically like the whole black people can't join the church thing?
Yeah. That is a good example of that. If I can recall that, how did that go? It was like the black people were the cursed brother of Jesus was the black colored people. Well, because in the Mormon in the Mormon view, everything on earth now pre-existed spiritually. Like there's no living sentient beings on earth that were created just to be here for the here and now. They all existed. We all existed previously. And apparently that other brother of Jesus, who'll go unnamed for now, he took like a third of heaven with him, and and represented on earth was the darker colored skin. Now, that was an older prophet.
But the newer prophet came along and retconned that, and we're like, oh wait, guys, we're not racists anymore.
I'm not sure it's that simple, but
I don't remember all the convoluted logic of it. But
there's probably a whole lot more to it that I can't, pretzel my brain around in order to figure out fully. But something along those lines. But there's some interesting things in Mormonism that I like the fact that all of the girls in the Mormon church are pretty. Am I wrong about that? Am I wrong?
I don't know.
I've never seen an ugly Mormon girl. I've never seen it. Yeah, it doesn't exist. They're all skinny and blonde.
Yeah,
beautiful and fertile.
Is keto a thing in the LDS? I think so, and so is Kegel. Okay.
Sorry. Look, I knew a lot of Mormon girls in high school, and I wasn't. Oh yeah, Jesus went to high school. You didn't know that? Anyway, in high school, and they were all like really nice, really pretty, and always inviting me to their church. And I would say, "You're going to hell." No, I wouldn't say that. But I would make the case for them coming to my church and then going on a date with me. But that never happened because they were very devout to their faith. And the families are really strong, really strong families. And the church itself has a lot of cash, by the way, a lot of powder, a lot of dry powder on the side.
Yeah.
These are all very positive things that I'm pointing to here. Okay, nothing to do with doctrine whatsoever.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there are a lot of like you're saying, socially positive things about it. They're really into prepping. From what I understand.
That's right. They have entire mountainsides of preparation. I mean, you know how the government has the secret vaults of prepared. Well, so do the Mormons in Utah.
Yeah.
And I mean, they probably have an entire underground base that they're calling the New Jerusalem or something that we don't even know about, that will come to the surface like Palpatine's Star Destroyers in The Rise of Skywalker whenever they need it. Did I just spoil something? Oh, well.
Probably. Yeah.
Hate that new Disney Star Wars. Can't help it. But man, you know what?
I think the Mandalorian wrapped up production definitively. Like, I looked it up, and so we get new Mandalorian in October.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think that's official.
Okay.
So
October.
there's some Disney Star Wars that you don't hate.
You know, you're right about that. What I was specifically referring to is the Disney Star Wars trilogy.
Yeah.
And yeah, The Mandalorian is a good show. I really love that Baby Yoda. But you know who my favorite is?
Who?
IG-11.
Oh, the droid?
Yeah.
Yeah. That droid's kind of a badass.
Yeah, dude. Like, I had the action figure of IG-88 growing up, and we saw just a couple of scenes in like The Empire Strikes Back. Yeah, it was just that one scene where you see IG-88, just a couple of shots, and you know, your imagination is left to think about, how does this thing move? And like, it's a bounty hunter, so it must be pretty badass. But you know, you look at the action figure, it doesn't really move all that well. And then they depicted it in The Mandalorian as this thing able to pivot from its like upper torso, can pivot independently from its bottom torso, and its neck and head can pivot independently from its torso and its lower body. Therefore, it's able to like look all around itself 360 degrees and see enemies coming from all directions, and spin its torso super fast with its robotic arms holding two blasters, just shooting in all directions, taking out enemies from every side. And because it's a mechanical robot, it's able to take damage much more than like an organic creature could. So it's able to like get hit a number of times and still keep on going. And the coolest thing in that show, a really funny bit, was if it ever gets pinned in and it's going to be captured, it can't allow, its manufacturer will not allow it to be captured because the technology.
So it has like a self-destruct thing built in.
Yeah. So the Mandalorian was right there next to him, and he kept trying to self-destruct him. I cannot, my manufacturer protocol will not allow me to be captured. I will self-destruct. He's like, no, wait. Because it would have killed them both.
Yeah.
He's like, no, we can get out of here. And it just inspired Mandalorian to actually do some heroic stuff to try to get them free so that they wouldn't both die. And he was able to save them both. But as you know, as a result of Baby Yoda, Mandalorian had to sacrifice IG-11.
Yeah, and there you get into like the whole droid rights controversy that is, to some extent, an undercurrent of Star Wars, and burst into the surface in like a really annoying way. In the worst of all Star Wars movies, Solo, which I finally watched just like a couple of months ago for the first time.
I'm Han Solo. I'm Han Solo. I'm Han Solo. Yeah. You ever heard that song?
No.
Well, anyway, you saw the movie. What did you think of it?
The movie was awful, dude. But easily the worst.
Was it because of the annoying droid rights and things? Was that the main?
It was a boring movie. Like, I just was sitting there and I was like, why the hell am I watching this? Like, oh yeah, because I want to do like complete Star Wars canon viewing.
Oh, that's right.
And this is like the only one I've never gotten around to seeing. And so, all right, now I've seen it, and I probably never need to see it ever again. It's just...
Well, I didn't see it in theaters because The Last Jedi was such a turnoff to me as a Star Wars fan, and Solo was the very next thing.
Yeah.
And so it was the obvious target if you were going to make a statement about, hey, I don't like what Disney's producing in Star Wars, so I'm not going to see the next thing that they're making.
Yeah.
It didn't matter what it was. I wasn't going to see it in theaters. And I didn't see it for the longest time. And I heard a lot of the reviews coming out of the Phantom Menace from Ethan Van Sciver and from John Talks and others, world-class bullshitters. And, I enjoyed listening to those reviews. Sometimes I enjoy listening to those guys' reviews more than I enjoy actually going and watching a movie because their reviews are way more entertaining. A Mahler review. Give me Mahler. Give me 4 hours of a Mahler review any day over any of the crap that's being produced lately.
Yeah, well, funny reviews of crap are like their own art form.
Yeah. The Critical Drinker being another one, Mahler. But my favorite of the Phantom Menace, he's kind of like a mix of the Critical Drinker and Mahler together, and it's Robot Head. I don't know if you guys have heard of Robot Head. I can pull up his channel for you to see. But his videos, he doesn't make too many because they're all very highly produced edits. Here he is. Let me share my screen. Boom. Robot Head. Here's his video, The Truth About Kylo Ren, The Last Skywalker. Is Rise of Skywalker worse than The Last Jedi? He doesn't have tons of videos. In fact, you could probably watch all of them in an afternoon.
So he's one of those people where, like, if he's going to make a video, it's going to be top quality, top, everything. But
that's right.
Far between.
That's right. And very well thought out.
Yeah.
And his voice is very similar to Mahler's. And Critical Drinker, he has like a British accent. Right on. And the one that really got my attention, here it is right here. Disney doesn't understand lightsabers.
Okay.
This is from a year ago. 8.2 million views.
Oh.
Wow. That's really, but it's a really great one. If you were going to start anywhere on his channel, I'd recommend to start right there. Yeah. And then this one here. Stupidest things said.
Defending Star Wars.
The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
Really good ones. Robot Head. And also, while we're talking about YouTube channels to check out, I'd highly recommend this one, Sandy Munro Live.
Okay, what's this, a Tesla channel?
It is. He's well, it's not a Tesla channel per se, except for recently it is. Right here I have the Tesla Model Y teardown playlist. This playlist here, if you go to playlists, that's what you want to watch. The Tesla Model Y teardown. He's been producing videos over the last several weeks, or maybe just the last week or two, where they've got a Model Y in their shop. That's the latest Tesla. And they've been, as you can see, pulling it apart, a little bit at a time. Here we go. From 2 weeks ago, this is where they first received delivery of the Model Y, and then you can see as they've been pulling it apart. The videos aren't very long. Most of them are less than 10 minutes, around 5 minutes. In the playlist, they just play one right after the other, just all the Model Y videos.
Okay.
This is an incredible car. You really got to see like what's on. I mean, you don't have to. Like most people don't care about all of like what's going on, the nuts and bolts under the hood. But if you're a car person like me, whether or not you're into electric cars or not, Sandy Munro was not somebody that was into electric cars per se. He tells the story on the Third Row Tesla podcast that released, I think, just today. And he tells the story that the way he got into electric cars was he was contacted by Audi. They had commissioned him and his company to do a teardown of the Model 3. They wanted to purchase that data from him, and so that they could understand all the bits, the nuts and bolts. I mean, his teardowns goes down to the last bolt on the car. Like they
wow. So he really does like literally nuts and bolts.
Yeah, literally. They strip the entire interior to where it's completely bare. They take out all the wiring, all the different computer components and harnesses. And I mean, it's incredible how detailed. And he's about halfway through with the Model Y, 2 weeks into it. So there's probably another couple of weeks of content coming from him. Definitely worth looking at. And so the Model Y is the best Tesla so far, and it could be the best selling Tesla so far. And that's saying a lot because Tesla has managed to pretty much double their production every year for the last 5-6 years. And this would be better selling than everything that they've done so far. So get ready for them to double their production. Even with all this that's going on in the world, this craziness going on, get ready for that company to double their production again this year. That's the reason why their stock is back up over $700 again.
Yeah. It's like $713.50 after hours.
Oh, okay. Right on. It got up to around $750.
Yeah.
I think. And you know, that's kind of where I like to see it. That's where it should be. But that's not to say that it won't have a nice pullback. I would just say at this point for me, it's buy the dip when it comes to Tesla. Like here's a company that is truly innovating and changing the world. And not just here in Hollywood. Like Lisa Simpson said to her dad, "Dad, that's Elon Musk. He's changed the way people drive in Hollywood." No, genuinely changing the world in the sense that every automaker that is not producing cars like Tesla's producing cars, they need to get busy doing it very quick, or they're just not going to be producing cars for very much longer. And that is coming from Sandy Munro, not an electric car guy. Oh, I didn't finish the story. So Audi commissioned him, and then after he purchased with his own money a Model 3 that he procured in the aftermarket from a person that bought it and was willing to let go of it for a premium. He paid a lot of money to get the car, and then Audi calls him up and says, "Oh, after all, we don't need it. Enjoy your Tesla." So he was kind of stuck with a Tesla that he bought in order to fulfill this contract that got canceled. And he's like, well, what are we going to do? Since we have it, we might as well tear it down and make YouTube videos about it. So Munro and Associates began to do the very first teardown of one of the very early Model 3s, like back before the production line was even fully assembled.
Oh, wow.
And it was a little controversial at first because he didn't know all of what he was looking at. He said there was way too much redundancy in some of the frame. It's like, man, this thing is built like a tank. And in some ways, that was the point of it. It's like one of the safest cars on the road for that very reason. But he didn't understand why it was so overbuilt. You know, it's like so overbuilt. But what he's seeing now with Model Y is a refinement that he didn't see with that early Model 3. And I'm sure that the modern Model 3s that they're building now are much more refined as well, but not to the level of Model Y. Like it's just a different level. And it's going to get even better. This podcast I mentioned earlier, the Third Row podcast, definitely check that out. Elon Musk stopped in on the podcast just to Skype in with an avatar. Didn't actually see his face, but he did describe what they're working on with Model Y. It's a new patented process where they are liquid injecting aluminum into a mold in order to create the frame of the car.
Oh.
And I've heard about this before, but I just never heard it described to the extent that Elon described it today. He said that they've developed their own aluminum alloy that's unique to Tesla, unique to this process of injecting, because Sandy Munro said it's something that they've thought of in the past, but it just was always too difficult. Like no one was able to accomplish it because of the aluminum itself, the way it just would not force into a mold. But this new type of aluminum composite that they've come up with is apparently able to do this, and it really changes the way cars are manufactured in a major way. It's going to change, especially for Tesla, because they're literally going to be making cars this way using these gigantic pressing machines. They have one in China. They're going to have one in the German factory. They're probably going to continue making the cars the way they make them here differently than that until they can get these machines installed, all over. It would make sense eventually they'd make all the cars this way. But that's just going to take a little bit of time and economics. You can't just do everything you want. The things have to make sense economically as well. I mean, I like the zeitgeist movement. Friends always used to point to the example of, there is a 100-year light bulb. It would burn for 100 years. Did you know that that's possible? And the only reason we don't have that is planned obsolescence. Well, not exactly. It's economics. Yeah, there is the possibility of a 100-year burning light bulb. But what does that cost? You got to have that light bulb in a very stable environment that won't change very much during that 100 years, and it has to be well maintained, and you have to pay people to do that in order to get a light bulb to burn for 100 years. It's a very costly endeavor. Maybe it's just better to pay $10 for an LED light bulb that lasts for 7 or 8 years. Good enough, instead of having to pay hundreds or thousands of dollars to maintain a bulb for 100 years to prove a point for no good reason. Anyway, don't mean to get off on the
how bright right now is the bulb that is shining in Justice's eyes as he's interrogated?
Has he returned yet? No. Alas, he's not returned.
It's interrogation time for him, and it's like
he's never going to be here.
Every cop show you've ever seen. He's in the little interrogation room, and there's this bright light just being shined in his eyes.
Justice, you should at least send us a text or something, man.
Yeah,
just to let us. We're worried about you.
We're on the brink of actually getting genuinely worried here.
I'm about to have to call the brown shirts to go looking for you.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Wow. Well, that's Model Y. See, crypto close. It's not the crypto close because that's on Sundays.
No, but it's not looking good. Kind of bleeding here. Bitcoin 6640. Just looking on CoinMarketCap.
Okay. Well, look, I drew an arrow and it's not quite working out that way so far.
No, that arrow, that was an optimistic arrow.
Yeah. That's
what are you looking at? What do we have here? The daily? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very erect arrow. And so far, the market is
very placid.
Yeah, it's rolling over a little bit. Where are we at? 6,600. Okay. Well, we're still good as long as we're above 5,700. That was Tone Vase's line in the sand.
Okay.
But moved up to 6,200 now. 6,200. Now he's still bullish. Still bullish. He says
as long as we stay over 6,200, I guess.
Yeah, and then he'll probably start reevaluating things, and then 5 minutes later, he's a bear again. But until that time, he's still a bull, and this is the triangle that he's looking at right here on the daily. This is what Tone Vase has drawn. He thinks it's a triangle that's broken out. It's come back to retest, and then it should take off again. That's where my arrow comes in. But other people have drawn this differently, as more of a bear flag.
Yeah,
I'll do it again. We
talked about that last time, whether this is...
Just do it again. That's a bear flag. And usually what a bear flag results in is something more like this.
And we don't want that. That's not... Yeah.
You just have to laugh, when you have so much invested. We're still going to hope for this. I think I've gone even higher. It was more like that, wasn't it? Yeah. Okay, there we go. But daily candles, yeah. I think it's the 4-hour chart that the bear flag was really, see on the 4-hour?
Yeah.
And according to this, if we're to draw this line out just a little farther, It's breaking down now.
Yeah, that doesn't
Like
look good.
look right there where my arrow was saying go up. Look, it went down.
It went down.
So we're going to see if tone and for how long. Should we start placing bets on how long tone remains bullish? It's hard to even say tone and bullish together because he's been bearish for like 3 years straight.
Yeah, I don't know. If there's a pork fest this year, we'll see if he has what kind of entertaining rant he has at that point.
Well, what's yeah,
because we're at a weird point in this thing right now.
Well, things don't go up forever, and we had 4 weeks in a row of green candles, though this week was barely green, and this week was also not hugely green, but still hanging in there.
We could be overdue for at least like a small little red candle. Hopefully not a nasty one like that one, that happened basically the week everything fell apart.
You mean this one here? That week?
Yeah, with that wick that took us all the way down under 4,000.
Yeah, there it is.
But, that was obviously the week that Tecate flu got real. So.
Yeah, indeed.
But, Bitcoin's been kind of crawling its way back up. Just fighting hard the 4 weekly candles since then. But, it's kind of, bleeding a little bit so far this week.
Well, Tone Vase's concern is that with the overall market downturn that he's expecting, that Bitcoin's going to get dragged along with it because of the apparent correlation that we've been witnessing over the past several months. And that correlation's not exact, and it may not be that strong. And what he's expecting to see eventually is a departure where the correlation breaks. But right now, it seems to be holding. What he's expecting is that as the overall S&P is getting dragged down this week, perhaps even topped out today, that Bitcoin's going to get dragged down. What's the S&P doing in the aftermarket?
Oh, I haven't looked.
I'm going to look on my phone because it doesn't show aftermarket on my TradingView account. But I believe if I check on Robinhood, I can pull up the S&P SPY S&P 500 ETF, and the day ended at $277, and it is currently $275.
Okay, so not too exciting.
Not down too terribly much, but it is down after hours, and Bitcoin's going down as well.
Yeah.
So his theory is that eventually the correlation will break, and at that point we'll have Bitcoin not necessarily heading back to all-time highs,
but at least not back to 10,000 or something.
Yeah, to retest some previous levels. And he kind of, this triangle I've drawn, I've not drawn it correctly. Wait a second. No, I have. I drew that correctly, but I need to back out even further, maybe the monthly chart, to show the big triangle that he's looking at, and he really believes is going to drag out for another year. I mean, this is Tone Vase bullish is like, I'm bullish. Price isn't going to get back to all-time highs for another 2 years.
Well, I mean, I think that's a realistic argument. My very unscientific attitude has always been to take this in parallel with the 2013 through 17 period. Okay. So after the crash of 2013 hit an all-time high, dropped back down a lot, and kind of was quiet and then went back up. And where are we in that cycle now? We're in 2016, coming up on the halvening. And
I like the halving, but halvening's okay.
Yeah, because it makes me remember Ron Paul and the happening.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah,
a little Ron Paul nostalgia.
So, we're in 2016 right now. Last year was 2015 and was very, relatively quiet after the crash of 2014. So that's very unscientific. That's not expert technical analysis, but that's just, me having been through one big cycle of this before and kind of seeing this one play out like the last cycle did, at least, kind of in a very broad sense. So,
well, you were definitely paying closer attention to the crypto market before I was back during those days.
Yeah.
Now, I think this is something like what Tone has been drawing his larger scale, longer term triangle. It's funny. Oftentimes on his show, he says he's not into triangles, but then he turns around and says, "Hey, look at this big triangle that I'm looking at. It's like my main thing for the next 2 years."
Yeah.
So anyway, this is something like this, where towards the end of 2022, this triangle would kind of, so we would have reduced volume, I guess, if we're looking at volume.
Yeah. And so that's a little longer time frame than like what I'm talking about, which would put us like sometime, like at the end of next year. But
so he's kind of,
but again, my stuff is not,
there it is.
Yeah, that kind of expert charting that you just did.
That's right. That's right. That would be the inverse, the big inverse head and shoulder.
Yeah.
Breaking out from the big long-term triangle sometime. Like, see, I'm so precise here. I have it towards the end of 2021 on my breakout.
Yes, that's what I just said. So
yeah. See, that's some expert charting for sure. We confirm each other. Expert charting.
Indeed. Tone. Well, maybe that's Tone's bearish side still being there. He's not seeing it till the end of 2022.
Well, price isn't everything. And it's a lot of things, but it's not everything. It's most of what we think about most of the time, but it's not everything. Here, let me go back to the weekly chart. Here we go. There's something about an asset that's unconfiscatable that I think during a time like perhaps today, where the uncertainty in the banking sector makes people recall the great gold confiscation back in 1933, and then more recently the banking cash confiscation in Cyprus, Greece.
Well, and the Cyprus incident, like that was a big boost to Bitcoin when that happened. That was one of Bitcoin's big early runs.
It was huge.
Yeah.
That was one. I didn't at that point start looking at charts, but I did begin looking at price during that time. Because that was, there was a big breakout.
Yeah.
And I had been working for Adam Kokesh for a little while, and he offered me payment in either Bitcoin or silver.
Oh, yes, the story.
And I chose the silver instead of the Bitcoin. And the Bitcoin at that time was like $600 for an entire Bitcoin.
So which will you choose this time if you do videos for the Kokesh McAfee campaign?
Definitely the Bitcoin. Definitely the Bitcoin. Yeah, absolutely. Especially at these levels, because looks good. The halving is right around the corner.
Yeah, and we're a month away from the halving. So,
and not that I'm expecting things to go to the moon. No. Directly after the halvening.
Well, they didn't go to the moon directly after the halvening in 2016. It took another year. But
right, and during that year, there was the big fork debate with the Bcash people.
Yeah, absolutely.
That don't like to be called Bcash, but I think that's a really cool name, so I'm going to call it Bcash.
Yeah, we'll call it Bcash. But we say that with no disrespect, because
no disrespect.
At the end, Bitcoin Cash, I think. Is playing an important role in this ecosystem here, and all the people who in both Bitcoin Cash and original Bitcoin Core who hated each other in the summer of 2017 now have a common enemy, which is Craig Coin.
That's right. Craig Wright coin, otherwise known as BSV.
Yeah.
The Satoshi Vision, but otherwise known as Craig Wright's shitcoin, which has been performing better than Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash throughout all of 2020, by the way, which just says a little bit about where the space is still.
Ugh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I haven't looked at long-term charts on BSV, but so I don't have any. So
yeah, Tom Vase took a look at that today and was like, "Oh man, really?
Wow." Yeah, I mean it's holding its own. You pull up Coin Market Cap and it's number 6 on there. So it's so for whatever that's worth, I guess.
Well, just for people that may not know who Craig Wright is or what this is all about, just a brief history. I mean, as far as we can tell from the limited information that we have, because there is a lot of lying going on around here, a lot of misdirection, a lot of sleight of hand. But Craig Wright, I first heard of Craig Wright when he came out to announce to the world that he was Satoshi. And he seemed sincere. Even Ghost Body Language did a reading of his body language during that interview. She said it was a shame that they cut during the interview. Like, it would have been better if it was like a unedited raw file that had no edits. But there was a couple of times where they cut away from Craig. But her reading is that he's not lying. He's not lying. That was her body language reading. But
So
her
the
reading
interpretation of that then is that, he was part of the team to some extent.
Well, she didn't know the details, but just from her reading of the body language alone, he's not lying. Doesn't mean that he's being 100% genuinely truthful either. But the just the simple body language reading from her was that he's not lying outright.
He's not blatantly lying. He's doing what Spock once called lying through omission. It was not a lie. It was an omission.
Right. That's I think you're onto something there, because we've have more information that's come out since then. There's an ongoing court battle over basically Satoshi's wallets and the private keys. So the doubt that Craig Wright is Satoshi as he said as he is based largely around his inability to have been able to access or move one Satoshi of Bitcoin from any of Satoshi's wallets from the time he's made that assertion until today. Correct?
Correct.
Now, in the court case, we've learned that Craig Wright had 2 associates, David Kleinman, which is the main person in the lawsuit, and another guy. And all 3 of them have a background in cryptography. And all 3 of them were involved in the Bitcoin project early on. I can't think of the third guy's name, which is a real shame, because he was the first person to ever receive a Bitcoin. Mm-hmm. A Satoshi sent through the Bitcoin network from Satoshi to him, the third person. The second person, David Kleinman, he's the one who actually seems to have had the private keys that controlled Satoshi's wallets. And the court case is surrounding documents that Craig Wright has apparently forged in order to procure those private keys for himself so that he can open the wallets and prove to the world once and for all that he is Satoshi. And the latest I heard was that he has all the addresses for all of the wallets to get the 999 something thousand Bitcoin that is owned by Satoshi. Craig has said that there is a fatal flaw in Bitcoin that he's going to exploit at some point. That's a mysterious thing to say, and it's an alarming. That's a very FUD creating kind of statement to say. That's very disruptive to the community.
Yeah, so the implication is like, oh, if this guy really is Satoshi, like the whole thing was founded by a dickhead who is gonna like now take the whole thing down.
Right. Because if he were ever able to access the nearly 1 million Bitcoin in these multiple wallets that are controlled by the private keys that were owned by David Kleinman, then he could do basically whatever. He could push the price at wherever. He'd become one of the biggest whales in the space instantaneously. Still doesn't mean that he's Satoshi. But apparently the people that had the good faith, and now I'm getting into the opinion part now. This is my opinion based on everything I've read in the court case and the documents. Craig Wright is a part of the Satoshi group. He was involved in the beginning. He had access to a lot of the code and a lot of, I don't know what it was that they needed from him, but they needed something from him. The Satoshi group didn't work without him. He's the only one left alive of the Satoshi group. Therefore, he is Satoshi, he thinks and says. But he cannot access the wallets because somebody in their wisdom who knew this guy a little better than any of us did locked him out.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, the other people in the group are like, okay, he's part of this, but we don't we don't trust this guy.
Like maybe he had funding that they needed. He had resources they needed. Maybe he had connections they needed. They needed something from him, and he was a part of the group. But Satoshi, he is not. Otherwise, he would have already had access to those wallets, just like everyone is claiming. But I believe he's closer to being Satoshi than people give him credit for. Because it's not like he's just a scammer that came out of nowhere claiming to be Satoshi. He actually was involved in the early project. And therefore, he believes he has the legal right to Satoshi's coins because he's the last living of the Satoshi group. But that's not how he's saying it. He's saying, I am Satoshi.
Yeah.
And I think this fatal flaw he's talking about is overblown. I think what he's saying, and he hasn't said it outright, but the theory that I have, and I'm not the only one, is that he's only really speculating about quantum computing, that one day he will be able to brute force open those wallets, whether or not he ever procures the private keys from the David Kleinman estate.
Well, that's an issue that people have been aware of all along. So
right. So it's nothing new here.
I mean,
nothing to see here.
Yeah. I mean, that's been the subject of various like altcoin projects of things that I'm not keeping track of this stuff as much as I did a couple of years ago, but you have altcoins out there that say like, oh, we are quantum computing proof, and that's how we improve on Bitcoin, and that's why we're the thing that's really gonna take off in this space. So,
and this once again, and why we call it, a shit coin is because the promise of BSV is this is the real Bitcoin.
Yeah,
this is the new Bitcoin, the latest greatest Bitcoin.
Yeah,
which is what every shitcoin project says.
Yeah, including multiple ones that had the name Bitcoin in it, and BSV is one of these.
Right.
So you may remember Bitcoin Private.
Right. Yes.
Was a thing that didn't just go to the moon; it went to Pluto and then plummeted right back.
Wow, man! And then there was Bitcoin Gold.
Yeah, Bitcoin Gold I think is still around, and to some degree or another, at least when you scroll through the coin market cap, it's still in the top 100 there. Yeah, there it is. It's number 37. Bitcoin Gold, $9.
Nice. That Bitcoin Gold.
I forget what the hell Bitcoin Gold does. Like,
do I have some? Like, I don't know how I don't know how to claim these crypto dividends. If somebody forks a coin and you're holding Bitcoin in a wallet or on an exchange, but mainly if it's in a private wallet, then you have access to their forked coin somehow. But I've always been a little untrusting of it because I don't want to reveal things like how my Bitcoin's at the bottom of that lake.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I scroll further down, and number 50 in CoinMarketCap is Bitcoin Diamond, which I don't know anything about other than like whenever I do one of these just scrolls through CoinMarketCap, it's in there. 49 cents.
Oh, from where? From what?
I don't know. I don't know what Bitcoin Diamond's all-time high was.
From what highs?
or when it originally forked, or what?
Do you think we'll ever see an alt season again? I've never seen an alt season. I heard of it. It's the mythical alt season of 2016, 2017.
If Bitcoin gets back to its all-time high and breaks through, you absolutely will get another alt season. So you may even get an alt season, a very limited alt season, if with Ethereum, because Ethereum's legit. So legit projects that are built on Ethereum, may do just fine. But you'll get a crazy alt season if Bitcoin ever gets to its all-time high again, because again, I'm talking having been through like a full cycle of this before and kind of seeing the pattern repeat a little bit. The crazy alt season, came right around the time that Bitcoin hit its all-time high in early 2017. You had like a crazy alt season. And then, of course, when everything went crazy at the end of 2017, Bitcoin was hitting 20,000. Then you got just ridiculous shit coins going up 10,000% and stuff.
God, I'm glad I wasn't paying attention to it back then. I was just watching Bitcoin go to the moon and freaking out, every day. Just I couldn't believe it. But people that were watching coins going up 1,000, 5,000, 10,000, 20,000%.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was crazy. It was a crazy time. Then they all just came right back down, and a lot of people didn't time their exit from those very well. So it is what it is, of course. But yeah, the pattern was when Bitcoin broke its all-time high in early 2017. Then, I think sometime in the spring or summer, you started having an interesting alt season happen. But yeah, then the real, like we were just saying, the real craziness happened at the end of the year.
I had friends telling me, you got to get into the altcoins, man.
Yeah.
And I'm like, look, Bitcoin's risky enough.
Yeah, there are legit altcoins out there. There will be an alt season. And if anything, this is the time to probably research altcoin projects, tokens that are legit, that actually do something.
Nah, forget all that. I already invested in a company that does something. That's not where the speculators like to go. They like a project that's a little bit nebulous, that they can use their imaginations to fill in the blanks. A project that has a really great sounding idea, but no real business plan per se. Because a business plan totally shunts their ability to have an imagination.
Yeah, like a token. And you wonder when this token
is ever going to
go to the moon.
Or crawl out of its hole. Man, maybe I should double down on my bag of Win tokens. So I put $300 into the Win token to bail out Scott Adams' company, and
we did the math. We did the math a couple of live streams ago, and that $300 is $15 now.
So I could put $30 into Win token and triple down now.
Yeah, be a Wen whale.
I think I am. I really do, man. Wow. Is there any other thoughts you had for tonight? Man, we've covered a lot.
I don't know.
We've gone from the China divorce boom through Trump's stimulus to AMC theaters potentially dying from Ezra Miller choking out fans, critical drinker fixing Luke Skywalker, your Bible study on Job. The Model Y is a great car to check out at Tesla.com.
Yeah, I mean, the mystery of Justice and his whereabouts is still unsolved.
That is the main question that's remaining.
Yeah.
I guess that's one that we're going to have to resolve when we come together again on Sunday at around 4:20.
Yeah, if he's raised bail by then.
Yeah, we may actually see him on the Sunday night stream, but we can't promise that. We can't promise anything. Yeah. So we have no idea. We haven't heard from him, and legit, he might be in trouble.
We hope not. We hope we're just joking and bullshitting with everybody. But
he could be sweating it out in a metal box right now.
Yeah.
Totally infected with the corona.
Yeah.
Oh, so then it would be like Schrodinger's Justice in the box.
Yes.
Is the Justice alive, or
is the Justice in a corona?
Otherwise, in a corona state.
Yeah.
And we don't know until we open the box.
Yeah.
What's in the box? What's in the box? It's a dead Justice hand.
Yeah.
That was a reference from, was it 9? 6? 9. That David Fincher film with Brad Pitt, Morgan Freeman.
I don't know.
I would pull it up, but we'd get a copyright strike.
Yeah, of course.
Oh, man. Well, anyway, I guess we can. We that's all I had for tonight. Do you have anything else on? You have a tab or anything you want to pull up?
No, I think we've covered the big stuff for tonight.
Let me see. Did I have any memes?
No, Justice was gonna do meme review.
I had this one. Let's see. That I downloaded. What is it? Good news. The good news is that the hydroxychloroquine should save your life from the COVID-19. The bad news is you will be proving President Trump right.
Oh, and it's the shrieking SJW. Yeah.
That's awesome. See, do I have any others? Oh, yeah. Here's one I made. I'm a low-level memester, but I'm starting to level up. Great live stream tonight, guys. Dad, don't. Best Yeti. Dad, please. Because we finally all have Yetis.
Yeah.
Which is really, really nice. Really nice. Well, make sure to tune in Sunday night around 4 o'clock. We're not exactly sure when we go live Sundays, but we shoot for 4:20. That's the goal. And,
and I guess if Justice is out of quarantine, I don't think he has work conflicts on Sundays anymore.
Oh, is that right? So we'll be able to stream as long as necessary.
Yeah, we'll have to clarify that after we bail him out. But
Right. I'm glad I've been pulling some cash out of the bank so I can access that quickly.
Bank run.
That's right. Oh, and what else is next besides the bank run? Looting. Store looting. So we were a bit ahead of the curve on, got the Tecate burps. We were a little ahead of the curve on boarding up our restaurant. But now would be the time to do it if you haven't already. We don't know how long this thing is going to go on for. They're saying May 1st has been floated out there as a possible reopening date nationwide. But it doesn't mean that all the local governors are going to agree to open whenever the feds say to. I guess as one final topic, President Trump in the Tecate task force was questioned about the federal government's authority and the president's authority. And when it comes to dealing with situations like this and the pandemic, President Trump says that his power is absolute. Is he wrong?
Oh, of course he's wrong. In practice, it sounds like he's going to defer to the states after all. But in that statement, of course, he's absolutely wrong.
I think what he was saying is, I think it was a reference to Obama, is what it was, because during the Obama years, that power did seem to be absolute in the sense that they could always get the lawyers to find workarounds around the Constitution. You remember that?
Yeah.
And I've heard him say it several times. He's like, yeah, I've talked to the lawyers, and the lawyers tell me I can do whatever I want, but I'm not going to, because I love the Constitution. We have this thing called the Constitution.
All right. Well, that's good. I mean, it's ultimately the 10th Amendment should apply here, even though, the 10th Amendment hasn't been followed since God knows when.
Let's pull it up now. 10th Amendment. I need a refresher. I need a constitutional refresher because it's been a while since my Ron Paul days. But here we go. The 10th Amendment to the United States Constitution, Wikipedia. It's part of the Bill of Rights, was ratified on December 15th, 1791. Expresses
open it up. It's the actual text of the 10th Amendment is,
Where is the actual
wonderful
text?
Stuff.
Where is the actual text? Here it is. Bill of Rights. No. Let me back out of Wikipedia and see if we can find the... Yeah, a lot of commentary about the 10th Amendment, but I want the just actual text.
Yeah, I think probably basic liberals are discovering the 10th Amendment for the first time ever because Orange Man bad.
Yeah, okay. Let me zoom in on it. Nice.
Summary. No, we don't want
not a
summary. We want actual text.
Okay, the Constitution. Bill of Rights. The internet, ladies and gentlemen, look how helpful it is. The cumulative knowledge of the human race throughout history is at your fingertips, always there, right there for you, whenever you need it. So where is it? Where's the Bill of Rights? Can't find it? Okay.
There you go. There's the text of it.
Which one?
U.S. Constitution, find law.
The powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution nor prohibited by it to the states are reserved to the states respectively or to the people.
Yeah. Succinct and beautiful.
Power to the people, man.
Exactly.
This is beautiful. The powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states, are reserved to the states respectively or to the people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so that's why Orange Man is wrong if he says that absolute authority rests with him. The only authority that he has is what is expressly delegated to him by the Constitution, and in his case, expressly delegated by Article 2, that covers the power of the executive branch. So,
well, if he was only speaking, and I think he was only speaking to the legalities, I can understand where he's coming from, but I really feel he's missed an opportunity to teach.
This is a teaching moment, and he himself, unfortunately, may not know his way around this stuff enough to, be the teacher.
Right.
And he doesn't have anybody close enough to him to teach him this stuff either.
He respects Rand Paul.
He does.
He's been a good friend to him.
Hopefully Rand Paul will give him a brief seminar on the 10th Amendment.
That'd be good. But isn't Rand Paul infected?
Rand is now clean and clear, and has been volunteering at, I don't know, a hospital or someplace.
Wow. Let me check that out too. Here we are preparing on the fly. Oh, wait, here we go. Here's some breaking news, breaking to me. Rand Paul, Constitution doesn't allow Trump to be ultimate regulator of our lives.
Yep, exactly.
Let's drill into this. No thanks. Is there a video? What is this? There was no task force today that I'm aware of. And they've missed several days, in fact.
Yeah, maybe they don't do it every day anymore.
Well, they're not. And the press took the weekend when they were taking time off, I think, to rest, because they were looking tired to me on Friday.
Yeah.
Just looking at Mike Pence's face, I'm like, this man needs some sleep. Those eyebrows are definitely tired. Like, Mike Pence has been the most animated I've ever seen him since I've heard.
Well,
there
was a Mike
during this whole thing. It's not saying much, but I mean, I've just never seen him moving from side to side. Like, the translation angles were definitely off the charts for him. But the thing I realized with Mike Pence, you can tell how much sleep he's had recently by how much his eyebrows move. And on Friday, they were definitely lagging. You know, those eyebrows were laggy. But today, or the last time they met, I saw him, and those eyebrows were on point, man. Just like wide awake, like they were moving really high and then like super low. You know, like there was huge translation in the eyebrows area and the forehead. But if you're not seeing that, definitely need some sleep. So they took some sleep over the weekend, and the press took that opportunity to drum up some fake news, saying that Trump's firing Dr. Fauci and that they're at each other's throats in disagreement because Trump wants to reopen and Fauci wants to keep things closed, and et cetera, et cetera. It's all fake news. So the last time they met, everyone seemed a lot more rested, and not a whole lot of things new to say other than the checks are coming and everything. Everything we said moving according to plan, and I am the ultimate power in this world, except I'm not going to use it. Yeah, and then there was some back and forth with some press people, and especially this one lady. Really was just wouldn't let Trump go about his life. Just kept coming back at him with questions until he finally just cut her off and said, "Enough." And then I think she got the hint. But it's not a good look, for him to be kind of yelling at a woman. So the very next time Trump was on the live stream was in this business meeting with business leaders. And at the end of the meeting, the press, especially the lady press people, were just yelling the questions at him. And I noticed he has a handler now, a chick handler.
Oh yeah, you mentioned this. And yeah.
I heard this lady started calling the press, the media personality, whoever it was, the lady that was, shouting out questions at Trump. She started calling her by name and shouting her down and saying, "It's over. It's over. We're done here."
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, "Oh, wow, that's smart." Trump actually hired a woman now to do that job for him because he found himself having to do it.
Yeah.
In front of the cameras live on TV. And it's not a very comfortable position. He let her go on for quite a long time, like a lot longer than he would normally do. But I think it was just the nature of the live cameras and not having a chick handler at the time, but now he has one, which will be interesting to see. Look for that in the future.
Yeah.
So Rand Paul here says, quote, "The Constitution doesn't allow the federal government to become the ultimate regulator of our lives because they waive a doctor's note. Powers not delegated are reserved to the states and the people, as we just read, the 10th Amendment. If we dispense with constitutional restraints, we will have more to worry about than the virus," Paul tweeted Tuesday. And there it is. During Monday's briefing on the pandemic, Trump said, quote, when somebody's president of the United States, the authority is total. And that's the way it's got to be. It's total. It's total. And the governors know that. They will agree to it, he said of the governors. But the authority of the president of the United States having to do with the subject we're talking about is total. According to the lawyers, is what he said. They're leaving that part out for some reason. Paul joined other Republican lawmakers, including Representative Liz Cheney of Wyoming and Senator Marco Rubio of Florida, in publicly disputing the president's claim. Okay. No, it's good. This is a time we can learn something here from this. And even if it wasn't Trump's, maybe he missed his opportunity to teach the nation. The nation's going to get this lesson anyway as a result.
Yes.
And I think that's great. And largely, and hats off to Rand Paul, largely as a result of Rand Paul speaking up on it and beginning to, and you know what? Trump respects him. Now, it needs to be, I don't know why they're leaving it out, but Trump said that he's not going to use that power because he respects the Constitution, but apparently that's not an important piece of information to the people writing these articles. But he did say that. I heard him. I listened to the whole thing so that you don't have to. Huh. But so Rand Paul, is he out? So he's totally out of back in the public.
Yeah, he's doing good.
Is this what he looks like now?
Yeah, he's grown a beard out.
Woo! He looks like he's had it. He's not the same man.
Yeah.
Look at that. Whoa. Okay, we're gonna a little bit more on this, and then we'll call it closed because
Kentucky Senator
the People's Republic of Beijing's getting restless in the background.
Paul, who is also a doctor, is back in action, volunteering at his local hospital.
And this is looks like a clip from Fox News. I'm not sure if it's YouTube or not, but we'll continue.
Now that he is fully recovered from coronavirus, he joins us right now for his first interview since recovery. We're also joined.
Wow, look at him, dude.
Yeah.
Whoa. They say it changes you. Well, I mean, your breathing capacity and so forth, but but who knows? Maybe it
changes your facial hair.
Yeah, it grows a beard on you.
Joined by Fox News medical contributor Dr. Mark Siegel. Good morning to both of you. Dr. Senator Paul, let's start with you. This is a new look for you. I don't think I've ever seen you with a beard before.
Well, you know, they banished me to the basement. They did a
His voice, man, I love hearing his voice. You know, he sounds like a lot like his dad, but like just a little different. You know, a lot like him, but a little different.
to feed me, but nobody would send a razor down. So I guess this is what I got from my quarantine beard.
And his hairstyle too.
Yeah. Dr. Siegel is going to have a question for you in a minute, but first let me ask you, how did it feel to have coronavirus, and what did it feel like to the point where you thought to yourself, you know what, I think I'm over it?
Well, you know, in my case, I had an extraordinarily mild case. I had no symptoms, never had a headache, never had a body ache, never had a...
Wow. So he was asymptomatic the whole time?
Good, good.
Well, why does he look like he's been through hell?
fever, never had a cough. I didn't really have any symptoms. In fact, I would have never gone to the hospital had I not, or not to the hospital. I would not even gone to the...
Wow. And his dad doesn't have it?
Nope.
Doctor's office had I not known this was about and that I had been traveling so much. So it's a bizarre sort of situation that some people get very, very sick, you know, even die from this, and some people get no symptoms. They've tested people in Iceland where they've tested, you know, a large body of the population of Iceland, and they've found that about 50% of the people who are positive have no symptoms. And
wow, 50% of the people in Iceland have no symptoms that have tested positive. Mm-hmm. I guess I probably should get tested when I can. You know, it may have been an asymptomatic case that we came down with from Vegas. And it wasn't just me, my wife too.
And so there's something about this illness that's not just the illness, but your immune response to it. And it may be some sort of genetic thing that some people are genetically predisposed to a overwhelming immune response that ends up making the patient very sick with their lungs filling up with fluid. And then other people like myself get virtually no symptoms.
Is it a good look? What do you think, man?
Yeah, I'm liking the Rand with a beard look right now. I mean,
look, I'm surprised his beard.
If we get a Rand 2024 thing going on, I mean, Rand would be the first president with a beard since I'd have to think about this.
Yeah, in a while.
William Howard Taft, perhaps.
Wow.
Yeah.
Huh. Wow. Yeah, this could work for him. This look could work for him. Interesting.
All right, Dr. Siegel.
Senator Paul, I want to ask you something a lot of our viewers don't know about you. And I know you're too humble to say this yourself, but you go around to underserved areas and you perform eye surgery. You're an eye surgeon, an ophthalmologic surgeon that saves vision for a lot of people. And it's something you do that you don't highlight enough. So how does it feel to now volunteer in a COVID-19 ward, taking care of patients with COVID-19 after having had it yourself?
Oh, okay. That's what he's doing?
Yeah.
Does that put you in a better position to address it, to communicate it, to know what they're feeling like?
You know, I spent about 20 years in medicine, mostly doing eye surgery, but I was also an ER physician as well as someone who spent a year doing general surgery. So I've been in and out of medicine my whole life.
So he knows how to wash his hands. For sure.
It's great to be back working with local doctors.
By the way, folks, we've got to keep pausing the video from time to time because copyright reasons and so forth, just to keep things... keep the algorithm guessing, I suppose. We'll see if it works.
Some of whom I knew when I was in private practice here, but some of whom are new and younger, and I've gotten to know some of the hospitalists. When I was in practice, there weren't many hospitalists. These are doctors who practice primarily in the hospital, and that's who I've been working with in the hospital. Because I now have immunity.
Oh, and now we have a commercial. Rubbermulchus.com.
Important.
Go get your colored mulch. Hey, man, that looks pretty good, actually.
Yeah, rubber mulch. Not even real mulch. Rubber mulch.
Huh. So this is kind of mulch, like if you fall down on it, you don't get a splinter.
Yeah.
You just bounce.
I can't catch it, presumably. I have the ability to go into rooms more often. I have the ability to talk to some of the patients and maybe spend a little more time. That anything I can do to prevent a trip of either a doctor or a nurse into the room is helpful to them. It's also, I try to be encouraging to the patients just from a moral standpoint. Some of the patients I've been with, the biggest thing that bothers them is they can't see any family. Their family's not allowed to visit them in the hospital, and that's hard on people, young or old.
Sure. Senator, let me ask you
Senator,
this.
you're a
After it was
doctor.
revealed that Mark, let me ask him one quick question. After
Just reminding the audience tonight that our show is unofficially brought to you by Postmates, and you can find the code to sign up to drive for Postmates down in the description below.
it was revealed that you were testing positively, some of your fellow senators said, wait a minute, we just saw him at the gym. What's your message to the senators who thought that you should not have been there?
Mind your own business.
I think the facts are important. I was told by the Louisville health authorities that I didn't need to quarantine. I followed explicitly the doctor's advice to a T. I was asked not to quarantine or test.
Huh.
I didn't follow that to a T. I went ahead and got tested, but I was not asked to quarantine. In fact, I went to a...
Man, it's a good thing that he tested, and he did that voluntarily.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he could have been spreading it throughout the White House, or the at least the Senate.
Charity event with 1,000 people there, and they told everyone there, unless you had contact with the one woman who's positive, you didn't need to be quarantined. So I think some of these people overreacted, and I think that's true of the country. People are scared and frightened, and when people are frightened, they don't always think about the facts. They just get mad.
Mm-hmm. Sure. All right, Mark.
That was my dinner bell.
Okay.
We literally have a dinner bell during this quarantine.
There's been a lot of government overreach in all of this. I'm sure you agree. How about physicians taking the lead on what to prescribe, like hydroxychloroquine, other treatments? How about the issue of public gatherings where there was the governor saying they're going to let, as you famously said, the governor is saying they're going to track people who went to church yesterday. How do you
What? He said something about tracking people that went to church?
feel about the government involvement versus the role of
The governor of Kentucky did,
Okay, the governor of Kentucky, where he used to be.
where Rand is the senator from. So the governor of Kentucky basically threatened
That's right.
anybody who went to an in-person church service for Easter. Said, like, basically, hey, we're watching you.
Wow. Huh. Man, it's like the old days. Like when Rome was in charge
Yeah.
for the Christians.
Yeah.
position in all of this?
I think like the governor in Michigan, it's her ignorance and her hatred of Donald Trump that caused her to say really ridiculous things.
Okay, I'm going to have to look that up. You didn't tell me that part of the story.
I didn't know that part of the story.
Interesting.
Doctors for really since the beginning of modern medicine have prescribed drugs that are called off-label. It's very expensive to get a drug to be applied to a certain purpose, so it's already approved for one purpose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those generics, they can save you some money, but sometimes, they don't go through the regulatory process.
Like the anti-malarial drug, hydroxychloroquine, it's also used for lupus and a variety of other things. Probably half of these other diseases don't have a specific indication because it costs so much money and time to get the FDA to do it. So it's not unusual to use something like an anti-malarial drug for rheumatoid arthritis.
Which, by the way, not to repeat everything that we said in the previous podcast, but that was originally suggested by Elon Musk on Twitter. March 12th, or was it? I believe it was March 12th. Anyway, it was just a short time, maybe even a day before it was mentioned in the Tecate task force by President Trump. So somebody must have caught wind of that from Elon, mentioned it to the president, didn't source where they had heard it, and he's just run with it, basically thinks that he's the guy. He's never given any credit to Elon Musk for this, and I've never heard that mentioned, but it's funny, like Trump is taking full credit for the hydroxychloroquine insight from Elon. And it reminds me very much of that other quote that I heard where Donald Trump said, yeah, we'll let Elon go to Mars and then we'll take all the credit for it.
Yeah.
It's already happening.
Or lupus, but it's also not that unusual to find a new use for it like we've found with the virus. I can tell you that locally, when we've had patients that are sick, they are getting the hydroxychloroquine, and there's at least anecdotal evidence that seems to be working and helping them.
Yeah. Well, that's good. That's good, right?
Indeed.
I see Darth Yoda, he has really black-pilled even further than me and has slipped down into this is all bullshit.
Oh no, I hear that dinner bell ringing again.
It's persistent, but I think we can make it just a little longer. There's only a few more seconds left in this.
And that is a conversation a lot of patients are having with their doctors. Dr. Siegel?
Okay, well, that was the end of it.
Yeah.
So, man. Well, that's really good. I think that's also something good to end on, since it's kind of circling back and finishing up the story that we started with Rand, I guess, around the day that we heard that he had contracted it. We broke that on our live stream.
Yeah.
So it's nice to see that he's doing better. He has dapper looking beard.
Yep.
And looks a little bit worn out in the face.
Awesome beard. While he's worn out because he's working hard volunteering at a local hospital there.
Yeah, that's really impressive, man. What an impressive guy.
Yeah.
Huh. No, I think I'd vote for him if he runs again, even though I said that I might not. But I think I'm changing my mind about Rand Paul.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah. Well, I guess with that, we can call it a night, and we'll meet again on Sunday.
Yeah.
Oh, man, 3 hours. We did 3 hours. Wow.
Hopefully
we waffled on for a full 3 hours.
Yeah, even without Justice. Hopefully,
even without meme review.
Yeah, we'll have bailed him out by Sunday, and
we'll bail him out, and he's coming Sunday with all the memes, and we'll have lots of them because he wasn't here tonight. So anyway, we'll see you all then. Love the ones you love, and take care of yourselves. Wash your hands, stay indoors. Do the 5, cough into your sleeve and wear your masks.
Yep.
And if you want to, start protesting.
Yeah.
Tell them to get this economy reopened.
Yeah.
And we'll see you soon.